Chapter 168. Song K roared angrily and stood up again. He used his palm as a saber and chopped at Xiao Chen's neck, creating a strong wind. Paw! Ao Jiao sent out another backhand slap, landing on Song K's left cheek. This slap not only caused his cheek to swell up, but it also caused his essence to disappear without a trace. Little bastard! Let go of this old man. Otherwise, I will make you suffer a fate worse than death. Song K roared in pain. He exerted all his strength with his right leg, trying to struggle free from Ao Jiao's right hand. However, Ao Jiao's thumb was pinching a very strange place on his ankle. It prevented his surging essence from reaching the meridians on his thigh. Ao Jiao snorted coldly, "You still dare to be stubborn? You are courting death." Paw! 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 Xiao Chen's right hand slapped Song K's face repeatedly. Song K's head swayed left and right like a rattle drum. His face was swollen like a balloon, he looked very pitiful. Instantly, everyone at the foot of the mountain was dumbfounded. They stared at the scene in disbelief. Only the sound of the slaps reverberated continuously at the foot of the mountain. Pu Chi! Song K finally could not endure it any longer. He vomited a mouthful of blood. Ao Jiao revealed an expression of disgust. She flipped her hand and pushed, lifting Song K's body up, avoiding the blood. Bang! There was a loud sound. Ao Jiao carried Song K like he was a piece of wood and slammed him to the ground. Bang! 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 Ao Jiao was having fun. She carried Song K and slammed him to the left, then to the right. Her speed became faster and faster. In the blink of an eye, she had slammed him countless times. This was a dignified martial king. Why were they being toyed with like toys? Everyone felt that this was absurd, that it was unreal. However, there were a few people who were more observant. They discovered that it was not that Song K was too weak. Instead, it was that Xiao Chen had become too strong. He was like a different person from before, his strength was unfathomable. Is it because of that saber? Someone finally thought of the crux of the problem and asked uncertainly. It is very possible. There might be a powerful character sealed in that saber. She used listening to the sword and communicating with it. The clear-headed Xiao Chen saw all this and was incomparably astonished. Although Xiao Chen knew that Ao Jiao was strong, he had not expected the Thunder Emperor's item spirit to be this strong. Ao Jiao treated a peak martial king as child's play. She was already this strong. How strong was the Thunder Emperor back then? What kind of shocking battle did he encounter for him to be forced into a dead end? Boom! Just as Xiao Chen was thinking, Song K's body suddenly released an intense light. Suddenly, it turned into a saber giving off a bright light and left Ao Jiao's hand with a zheng sound. This is a technique that only a martial king can grasp. It combines with the martial spirit. He actually dared to reveal his martial spirit. Xiao Chen looked at the radiant saber and felt somewhat surprised. Everyone knew that the martial spirit was the most important support for a cultivator. If the martial spirit was destroyed, the cultivator's cultivation would be crippled and they would become a true cripple. Unless it was absolutely necessary, no one would reveal their martial spirit. Presumably, Song K was also forced into a corner. However, Song K's martial spirit seemed to be rather ordinary. It was just a mediocre long saber. The saber turned into a beam of light and quickly flew into the sky. Then, with a honged sound, it turned back into Song K's appearance. The thick saber in Song K's hand had already disappeared. In its place was a dazzling saber. This saber was Song K's martial spirit. After Song K used his martial spirit, his aura was much stronger than before. The pressure he gave off increased greatly. There was actually a trace of the aura of a martial monarch. Mount Tai suppression. Boundless rage flashed on Song K's swollen face. He stared at Xiao Chen on the ground and shouted loudly. A majestic mountain appeared behind Song Quebec. There were many trees on the mountain and countless flowers and plants. It was overflowing with greenery. When one looked at it, they could even see some birds and beasts standing on the mountain. This mysterious phenomenon can actually materialize living creatures. Xiao Chen looked at the rapidly descending mountain and said in astonishment. He did not know how Ao Jiao was going to break it. It was like a huge mountain was pressing down on the ground. The surrounding cultivators all felt a huge pressure. It was like the mountain was right above their heads. They immediately scattered in all directions. Ao Jiao's expression did not change. Instead, she revealed a faint smile. She stretched out her hand and grabbed the lunar shadow saber that was stabbed into the ground. Rumble. The instant the saber hilt landed in Ao Jiao's hand, the sky turned dark. Countless dark clouds churned and covered the sky, completely blocking out the sunlight. Thunder rumbled in the dark clouds. Suddenly, hundreds and thousands of lightning bolts appeared. They tore through the dark sky, like 10,000 horses galloping. They were boundlessly majestic, illuminating the dark space in an incomparably resplendent manner. The electricity gathered on Ao Jiao's body and instantly disappeared. The surroundings turned dark once again. All this happened in an instant. The surrounding people all felt that it was unreal. Drawing the saber. Just as everyone was doubting whether the scene of the sky tearing apart was real or not, the lunar shadow saber suddenly burst forth with a dazzling light. It was the gathering of thousands of lightning bolts. It was extremely resplendent. The light was so bright that no one dared to look at it directly. It felt like their eyes were being pricked by needles. Bang! The instant Mount Tai pressed down, the lunar shadow saber struck the base of the tall mountain. There was an intense explosion, and the majestic mountain shattered into countless pieces. The mysterious phenomenon was broken. Logically speaking, Song Ke should have suffered a huge backlash at this moment. However, although his face became a little paler, he did not suffer any serious internal injuries. Jadeite Mountain Range. The shattered mountain rocks suddenly condensed in the middle of the sky, forming an endless chain of mountain peaks. As far as the eye could see, there were mountain ranges stacked on top of each other. The peaks were majestic, and the mountains and plains were like a painting. It was a beautiful scene of mountains and rivers, a group of jadeite mountains. Ao Jiao revealed a faint smile on her face. Like before, there were no major changes. Regardless of whether Mount Tai pressed down or the jadeite mountain range, I will remain unmoved, smiling at the wind and clouds. Who? Just as the mountain range was about to completely form, Ao Jiao tossed the lunar shadow saber into the air. With a shua sound, the lunar shadow saber turned into a huge thunder rock. Is this the rank 6 demonic core of the lunar shadow saber? Xiao Chen asked uncertainly as he looked at the thunder rock in the air. This was because the aura of this thunder rock was far more horrifying than a rank 6 demonic beast. After a while, Xiao Chen said in astonishment, could it be that this is the Thunder King's martial spirit? The thunder rock spread its wings and gave off a deafening cry. Its claws flickered with a boundless electric light as it slashed through the air. The electric light flickered and a pitch-black space appeared. The thunder rock actually tore this space apart. The pitch-black space slowly expanded. In the blink of an eye, the endless chain of mountains was swallowed up by the darkness. Song Ke was astonished. He swung his saber in the air and shouted, 10,000 years, heaven and earth exist forever. Only I am immortal, beautiful mountains and rivers. Ao Jiao revealed an impatient expression and said coldly, are you done yet? There was a flash of white light and she appeared in the middle of the college entrance examination. The thunder rock turned back into the lunar shadow saber and flew back into her hands. Before Song Ke's beautiful mountains and rivers could form, she used the saber to cut a long wound on Song Ke's chest. The electric light on the wound leaped around. Song Ke's martial technique was interrupted and he suffered even more injuries. He vomited a mouthful of blood and quickly fell to the ground like a kite with its string cut. Bang! Ao Jiao's figure was like a ghost as she appeared behind Song Quebec. She sent out a kick and sent Song K flying into the air. Then, just as he was about to land, she appeared again and sent him flying again. This repeated over and over again. Every time she sent out a kick, Song K would vomit a mouthful of blood. After a long time, Ao Jiao finally stopped. Song K's body finally landed heavily on the ground like a rubber ball. There was a loud bang and dust was kicked up. Song K's body bounced on the ground a few times before he stopped struggling. Only at this moment did Song K realize that he was not a match for Ao Jiao. The enemy he faced was most likely a peak martial monarch. The other party did not care about him at all. His Mount Tai suppression, jadeite mountains, and beautiful mountains and rivers were all child's play in her eyes. She was just toying with him. When Song K saw Ao Jiao slowly walking over, he started to feel fear in his heart. An aura of death appeared in his heart. He moved his body and retreated continuously. He said loudly, "Don't kill me. I will never dare to have any designs on Qingyun Peak again." A peak master actually begged Xiao Chen for mercy. The many heavenly saber peak inner disciples in the distance were all astonished. They all looked down on Song K in their hearts. He was too spineless. There were a few disciples wearing Bian Peak's uniform in the crowd. When they saw this scene, they all blushed. If their peak master was so spineless, they would not be able to face others in the future. Ding ding dang dang. Suddenly, there was the melodious sound of a zither coming from the sky. All sorts of musical instruments mixed together, giving off a heavenly sound. It made everyone feel at ease for some reason. When they looked up, they saw a crystalline jade ship surrounded by clouds. The music did not stop, coming from afar. In an instant, it flew from the horizon to the eyes of the crowd. An exquisite girl flew from the bow of the ship, passing through the clouds. She was like a fairy as she slowly descended from the sky. When Song K saw this person, he revealed an expression of joy. He said loudly, "Martial Ant Shen, quickly come and save me. This person has offended his superiors, deceived his master, and attacked the Bian Peak's peak master. He has already committed a great crime. Shameless." When everyone heard this, these words instantly appeared in their hearts. A dignified peak master, a peak martial king, was actually reduced to using sect rules to suppress the younger generation. In the 10,000 years of history of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion, there had never been such a shameless peak master. He had completely lost the face of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. When the fairy-like girl in the sky saw this scene, she could not help but frown slightly. Earlier, after she forced Chu Xinyun to tell her why she was injured, she immediately rushed over. Chapter 169. She understood Song K's temper very well. She originally thought that she had rushed over to stop Song K from making things difficult for Qingyun Peak. She did not expect the situation to be like this. It was the complete opposite of what she expected. After Ao Jiao raised her head and glanced at this person, she did not look at him a second time. She knew that she no longer had the opportunity to kill Song Quebec. She turned around and walked towards Lu Ruyue, who was lying on the ground. Lu Ruyue used listening to the sword and communicating with it with her severely injured body. She was currently very weak. If she did not receive proper treatment, she might even lose some of her cultivation. Ao Jiao controlled Xiao Chen's body and walked over to Lu Ruyue. Under Lu Suifeng's flabbergasted gaze, she carried Lu Ruyue from his embrace. Lu Ruyue was currently extremely weak. Even if she wanted to resist, she did not have the strength to struggle free from Ao Jiao's hands. She could not help but look at Xiao Chen with doubt in her eyes. Lu Ruyue instinctively felt that something was wrong with the current Xiao Chen. He asked doubtfully, "Yi Chen, what are you doing?" At the same time, Xiao Chen had a bad premonition. At the same time, he asked, "Ao Jiao, what are you trying to do?" See? Ao Jiao ignored the voices of the two. She pressed her lips against Lu Ruyue's. A golden light blossomed between his lips and slowly flowed into Lu Ruyue's mouth. This was the purest essence of heaven and earth. It contained boundless life force and many other benefits. Damn it, Ao Jiao, are you trying to kill me? No, I am trying to save someone. How dare you say that? But why are you sticking your tongue out? Bastard! This. I have never kissed before, so I could not help but give it a try. Shut up. You are still trying to act innocent after getting the advantage. Lu Riyue stared at Xiao Chen with wide eyes. Her gaze was filled with astonishment. Xiao Chen met her gaze and saw her expression clearly. He could see her expression clearly, but he couldn't move his body, so he couldn't feel anything. Pop! Ao Jiao controlled Xiao Chen's body and left Lu Riyue's lips. The sound was not loud, but it was very quiet at the foot of the mountain. However, this was like a heavy bomb exploding in the hearts of the surrounding Heavenly Saber Pavilion inner disciples. All of a sudden, these people's hearts were shattered. Everyone knew that there were 3 goddesses in the Heavenly Saber Pavilion: the young pavilion master, Leng Liusu, Jade Maiden Peaks Chu Xinyan, and Qingyun Peaks Lu Riyue. Although Lu Riyue did not have as many pursuers as the previous 2, this was only because her temper was too fiery. However, no one dared to deny Lu Riyue's beauty. Her temperament was filled with a mature charm. Her charm was not something that inexperienced girls like Leng Liusu or Chu Xinyan could compare to. In every man's heart, there was a dream of a domineering elder sister. This should be Lu Riyue's first kiss. Aside from the initial shock, everyone looked at Xiao Chen with different gazes. They were filled with undisguised envy, jealousy, and hatred. With a loud bang, their hearts were completely shattered. Ao Jiao revealed an expression of enjoyment. In the eyes of the crowd, it was as wretched as it could be. It's over. In the future, there will only be 2 goddesses in our Heavenly Saber Pavilion. Indeed, this brat is too dishonest. It's fine if you kissed her, but why did you have to show such a wretched expression? I hate it. If only it were me. This is senior sister Lu Riyue's first kiss. After a moment of silence, the crowd erupted into an uproar. The way they looked at Xiao Chen turned from envious, jealous, and hateful expressions into murderous gazes. However, the crowd did not know that Xiao Chen was suffering in silence. He had already started cursing. If he felt anything, it would be fine. However, he did not feel anything at all. His first kiss was gone just like that. He had become the scapegoat for Ao Jiao. Trashy master, remember to comprehend listening to the sword and communicating with it as soon as possible. That way, I will be able to come out and play occasionally. Also, remember to refine the broken sword in the universe ring as soon as possible. Ao Jiao's cheerful voice sounded somewhat fatigued. After she spoke, Xiao Chen felt dizzy. He regained control of his body. He recovered his wits and quickly let go of Lu Riyue. When he saw her blood-stained face, he said anxiously, "Elder sister Riyue." Lu Riyue smiled faintly. Her pretty face was like a flower. Even though her face was covered in blood, it could not hide her charm. Don't be silly, I know it was not you. After Lu Riyue spoke, she closed her eyes and sat down cross-legged. She started to slowly absorb the essence of heaven and earth into her body. The essence of heaven and earth that Ao Jiao gave Lu Riyue this time was even more than what she gave by previously. She would need at least half a month to completely absorb it. It could be said that this was a blessing in disguise for Ao Jiao. Not only would her cultivation not drop, it would even improve after half a month. Xiao Chen heaved a sigh of relief. When his gaze fell on Lu Riyue's long eyelashes, he discovered that her eyelashes could not help but tremble slightly. It looks like elder sister Riyue is not as calm as she said. Xiao Chen sighed in his heart. He did not know whether this was a blessing or a disaster. How should he face this in the future? Pu Ci. Song Ke, who was not far away, asked the mysterious girl for a medicinal pill. The pained expression on his face finally eased up a little. At this moment, he suddenly felt that the horrifying aura on Xiao Chen's body had completely disappeared. It was obvious that the state he was in earlier had disappeared. When Song Ke thought of the humiliation he suffered today, he felt very sullen. When he saw that Xiao Chen was not paying attention to him, a murderous intent appeared in his eyes. Xiao Chen's body bounced up in the air and he picked up the saber on the ground. There was a flash of white light, and Song Ke had already arrived behind Xiao Chen. He raised the saber in his hand and swung it down ruthlessly at Xiao Chen's back. When the surrounding crowd saw this scene, they were astonished. This Song Ke was simply too shameless. He actually used a sneak attack on a junior. Xiao Chen's heart tightened. My life is over. From the moment Song Ke grasped his saber, he felt a sharp killing chi. However, without Ao Jiao possessing his body, even if he felt the killing chi, his body would not be able to react in time to a peak martial king. The most important thing was that he was attacked from behind. If he wanted to counterattack, he would not even have the chance to turn around. Scram! Just at this moment, a shout came from the summit of Qingyun Mountain. It was the word, scram. It was like it traveled through time and space and pierced through space. It carried a boundless force as it smashed into Song Ke's body. The crowd seemed to clearly see the word, scram, imprinted on Song Ke's body. A small world appeared in the sky. Song Ke's body suddenly curled up and rolled back like a rubber ball. Boom! 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 After rolling for an unknown distance, Song Ke's figure completely disappeared from the foot of Qingyun Peak. After taking a trip to the gates of hell, Xiao Chen felt a chill run down his back. He could not help but break out in a cold sweat. Who is Yi Chen? Suddenly, 4 martial kings wearing the law enforcement hall's uniform descended from the sky. After they landed, they immediately asked loudly. It turned out that when Song Qianhe saw that his father was in danger, he had sent people to inform the law enforcement hall. Seeing that the law enforcement hall's people had arrived, Song Qianhe, who was wrapped up like a dumpling, quickly jumped out. He pointed at Xiao Chen and said loudly, "He is the one who has no respect for his elders. First, he insulted my father. Then, he borrowed a secret treasure and tried to kill the Biyan Peak's peakmaster. He has committed great crimes. I beseech the law enforcement hall's elders to kill this person on the spot. The law enforcement hall knows what they are doing. It is not up to you to interfere." One of the people looked at Song Qianhe with disgust. Another person took a step forward and said to Xiao Chen, "Come with us. We will investigate this matter before you leave." When Lu Riyue, who was sitting cross-legged and recuperating, heard the law enforcement hall's voice, she quickly got up and interrupted her recuperation. She said, "Wait a moment. I will personally make a trip to the law enforcement hall 3 days from now. Would everyone please take your leave for now?" Lu Riyue was very clear on what kind of place the law enforcement hall was. They would handle ordinary matters impartially. However, if it involved the upper echelons of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion, after Xiao Chen entered, he would not have a chance to come out. Who knows what will happen in 3 days? If you want to explain yourself, then come with us now. That person did not accept Lu Riyue's suggestion and said in an unyielding manner. Lu Riyue was injured. Naturally, she could not follow them now. Xiao Chen took the initiative and said, "Don't make things difficult for my master. I will go with you." Boom! Just at this moment, a rectangular wooden box landed in front of the 4 law enforcement hall martial kings. The wooden box was facing the 4 law enforcement hall martial kings. The wooden box looked very ordinary, one could not see anything different about it with the naked eye. However, there were 4 bold and tyrannical words written on it, like an emperor had arrived personally. When the 4 law enforcement hall martial kings saw the words on the wooden box, their expressions changed greatly. They raised their heads and bowed respectfully to the summit of Qingyun Peak. Then, they left the place as though they were fleeing. It was like an invisible hand had descended from the sky and grabbed the wooden shavings. With a schwa sound, the hand withdrew, as though nothing had happened. That wooden box looked familiar. However, Xiao Chen could not be bothered to think about it. He turned around and pushed Lu Riyue down again. He said, "Continue recuperating." You wasted all the time you spent recuperating. Lu Ruiyue nodded gently. She had a complicated gaze as she looked at the towering summit of Qingyan Peak. She sighed to herself and sat down cross-legged again. The mysterious fairy-like girl had a gentle smile on her face. She slowly walked to Xiao Chen's side and said, "Heroes emerge from youth. I have made this trip for nothing. If you have time in the future, I hope that little brother Yi can make a trip to Jade Maiden Peak." After she spoke, the girl took out a bottle of medicinal pills and handed it to Lu Suifeng. She instructed him to hand it to Lu Ruiyue. Lu Suifeng's pig-like face revealed an excited expression. However, what happened next caused the excitement in his heart to instantly vanish. The girl handed a name card to Xiao Chen and said, "If you have time, please make a trip to Jade Maiden Peak." Under the envious gazes of all the surrounding Heavenly Saber Pavilion inner disciples, Xiao Chen received the name card. The aura of this girl was extraordinary. With one glance, it was as though he had fallen into a deep abyss, unable to extricate himself. He could not help but feel it was strange. How could there be such a beautiful girl in Jade Maiden Peak? She is even more outstanding than Chu Xinyan. He cupped his hands and said, "Many thanks for elder sister's invitation. If I have time in the future, I will definitely make a trip to Jade Maiden Peak." After Xiao Chen spoke, the surrounding people all revealed strange expressions. They could not help but think in their hearts, "This brat is too shameless. He is even more shameless than that old man Song Quebec." Chapter 170. When the girl heard this, she was stunned at first. Then, she laughed out loud. She was like a fairy, captivating everyone and causing them to raise their eyebrows. "Remember to come. I will take my leave first." After the girl spoke, she floated up and returned to the jade ship. The celestial music rang out again. The fairy rode on the misty jade ship and slowly disappeared from everyone's sight. Seeing everyone's gaze, Xiao Chen felt like he said something wrong. However, he could not figure out what went wrong. He could not help but look at Lu Suifeng. Lu Suifeng moved closer to Xiao Chen's ear and said in a low voice, "That was our ancestral martial ant earlier. She is more than 200 years old. In the Heavenly Saber Pavilion, she is like an immortal." Even though Xiao Chen's skin was thicker than the city walls, he could not help but blush at this moment. He actually called a 200-year-old ancestral martial ant Lu Suifeng elder sister. This joke was too big. Lu Suifeng continued, "Ancestral martial ant actually personally handed me the medicinal pill. She thinks too highly of me. In the future, when I chase after Miss Xinyan, I will be able to get twice the results with half the effort." However, when he saw Xiao Chen casually place the name card in his bosom, the pride in his heart instantly vanished. He could only sigh, comparisons are odious. Since the surrounding disciples had nothing to see, they all left. After this battle, Yi Chen's name would definitely spread throughout the entire Heavenly Saber Pavilion. Not only did he defeat the martial king of Bian Peak, he even received a personal invitation from the Jade Maiden Peak's ancestral martial ant. In the past few hundred years, no one had been as glorious as Xiao Chen. After everyone left, Xiao Chen and Lu Suifeng stayed behind to take care of Lu Ruiyue, who was in the midst of recuperating. The sun completely disappeared into the horizon, night finally descended. Lu Ruiyue's injuries were clearly very severe, aside from her internal injuries. Aside from internal injuries, there were even more horrifying external injuries. Her body was covered in saber wounds of varying depths. It looked very horrifying. This time, Lu Ruiyue would not be able to recover completely without at least half a month. Furthermore, with so many scars on her body, it would be very unsightly. Suddenly, Xiao Chen thought of the medicinal pills in the Compendium of Cultivation. There was a beauty-nourishing pill for women. After consuming it, removing scars was just an additional function. The most important thing was to make the woman's skin look like water, whiter and smoother. Furthermore, the effects could last for 40 years. However, he needed too many herbs. It would be very troublesome to find them. Xiao Chen recalled Lu Suifeng mentioning that the Heavenly Saber Pavilion had a great medicinal herb store. So, he asked, Suifeng, where is the Heavenly Saber Pavilion's medicinal herbs? Lu Suifeng replied, it's on Jade Maiden Peak. There is a very large medicinal field there. Almost all the medicinal herbs in the world are grown there. Why are you asking about this? When Xiao Chen heard this, he rejoiced in his heart. He quickly asked, how can I buy them? Spirit stones? Spiritual. Lu. Xiao Lu, he, spiritual, Lu. He, was, he. Lu Suifeng quickly replied. These were the most basic things in the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. If he stayed here for a while longer, he would know. Merit points? Xiao Chen said, what is it? I've been here for so long. How come I've never heard of it? Lu Suifeng smiled gently and said, you have always been training in the dueling grounds and have never gone out. How could you possibly know? There is a hall in the heaven viewing platform that gives out missions. After inner disciples complete their missions there, they can receive their contribution points. These merit points can be exchanged for spirit stones, medicinal pills, medicinal herbs of different ages, battle armors, soul weapons, martial techniques, and cultivation techniques. Almost anything related to cultivation can be exchanged. After you find enough contribution points, you can go to Jade Maiden Peak to exchange for the herbs you need. However, I see that Ancestral Martial Ant thinks very highly of you. Maybe you can do her a favor. The two of them stopped talking. Xiao Chen entered deep thought. It looks like the Heavenly Saber Pavilion is not as simple as I thought. There is already a complete internal system. However, this is normal. This is a sect that has existed for tens of thousands of years. If they do not even have a complete system, it would be strange. In the middle of the night, Lu Suifeng started to feel sleepy. Xiao Chen saw that there was no danger at the foot of the mountain, so he let Lu Suifeng go to sleep. He stood guard here alone. A cool breeze blew gently as Xiao Chen sat beside Lu Riyue. He had nothing to do as he looked at the night sky filled with stars. Using the weak starlight, Xiao Chen took out the flowing cloud scripture that Lu Chen gave him and slowly flipped through it. The weak starlight could not obstruct Xiao Chen's vision. After he advanced to Martial Grand Master, he discovered that his six senses were much stronger than before. Although he could not see through the night like it was day, it was still easy for him to read the words in the book when he was awake. The flowing cloud scripture was derived from a remnant of an ancient martial scripture. The so-called martial scripture was very different from martial techniques and cultivation techniques. It could not be used directly in battle. It was not like martial techniques, which could manifest a cultivator's cultivation in their moves. It was also not like cultivation techniques, which could help a cultivator absorb spiritual energy to increase their cultivation. The martial scripture was similar to the nourishing life scriptures from his previous life. It was mainly used to regulate the essence in a cultivator's body. To put it more bluntly, it was to prevent the cultivator's essence from becoming chaotic and enter a state of berserking chi after cultivation. The martial scripture was not very useful for cultivators below Martial King. This was because the essence in the body would not cause a situation like berserking chi. However, to Xiao Chen, it was very beneficial. He used the Battle Sage Origins changing character formula to simulate more and more martial techniques. The effects were not that great yet. In the future, if he could not harmonize them with the martial techniques that he had learned, it would be a huge problem. If Xiao Chen prepared for a rainy day now, he would not have to worry about this problem in the future. Who? After an unknown period of time, just as Xiao Chen was struggling to keep his eyes open, Lu Riyue suddenly opened her eyes and stood up. Xiao Chen instantly reacted. He said joyfully, "Elder Sister Riyue, your internal injuries should be more or less healed by now, right?" Lu Riyue smiled faintly, "Come with me to a place." Xiao Chen nodded gently and followed behind Lu Riyue, heading to the top of the mountain. Lu Riyue led Xiao Chen through many winding paths, secret routes that Xiao Chen did not know about. Finally, they stopped in front of a cave. Xiao Chen followed Lu Riyue into the cave. Not long after, he heard the sound of bubbling water. Warm, humid air wafted over. There should be a hot spring here, Xiao Chen guessed in his heart. However, he could not understand why Lu Riyue brought him here. Indeed, after walking for a while, a hot spring with steam rising from it appeared in front of the two of them. The steam permeated the surface of the water. There were bubbles coming out from time to time. Turn around, Lu Riyue said softly. Xiao Chen's face turned slightly red, he guessed something. Lu Riyue took off her clothes, piece by piece. Then, there was a loud splash as she fell into the hot spring. Lu Riyue found a comfortable place to lie down. She said to Xiao Chen, "You can turn around now." Xiao Chen did not know what Lu Riyue was thinking. He could not figure it out. After hesitating for a while, he slowly turned around. After a while, he saw a scene of blood spurting out. He felt his blood surging. Amidst the mist, the blood on Lu Riyue's body had already faded away. Her voluptuous figure was faintly discernible in the water. It was incomparably tempting. It gave one the urge to commit a crime and immediately pounce over. "Come down, accompany me for a chat." Lu Riyue's voice sounded very lonely. It gave one a desolate feeling when they heard it. This immediately extinguished the burning flame in Xiao Chen's heart. With a pu-tong sound, Xiao Chen jumped down and created a large splash. Then, he slowly sat down opposite Lu Riyue. When Lu Riyue saw the situation, she burst out laughing. "Do you not take off your clothes when soaking in the hot spring?" Xiao Chen smiled bitterly in his heart. "I would like to take them off. However, how would I dare to do so in front of you?" He could only smile and say something that he did not mean. "It's fine. I am used to soaking in the hot spring like this. If I take off my clothes, I will feel uncomfortable." After laughing, Lu Riyue seemed to be in a much better mood. She explained, "This hot spring is not an ordinary hot spring. It originates from a medicinal spring in Jade Maiden Peak. By soaking in it, you can quickly treat your external injuries. When I was young, I liked to soak in the hot spring. At that time, there was not much water in the hot spring. I rarely came here. However, I was very happy every time." Lu Riyue revealed an extremely warm smile on her face. It was like she was recalling a very happy past. However, after a while, she turned desolate. "However, after Qingyun Peak declined, I came here more and more often. At that time, I would fight with people every day. When Sui Feng, Xiao Yang, and the others were young, they were often bullied. Every time, I would rush over immediately. No matter who bullied them, I would make them pay 10-fold or 100-fold. No matter how injured I was, I would make them pay. Since I was young, those people never gave up on the idea of swallowing Qingyun Peak. They used threats and temptations. They used all sorts of despicable methods. I endured until today. I would fight almost every once in a while. I forced myself to become stronger, walking step by step to where I am today." Lu Riyue was like a chatterbox. She spoke a lot in a short while. Aside from the grievances she suffered when she was young, she talked more about the glory of Qingyun Peak in the past. At that time, she was still young. Qingyun Peak was the top peak of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. The dueling grounds were packed with people every day. The foot of the mountain was crowded with people every day. There was an endless stream of people coming and going. After that, she personally witnessed the tragic change in Qingyun Peak. Those people who tried to curry favor with Qingyun Peak all turned around and trampled on them. Such a huge change dealt a great blow to her young heart. Xiao Chen felt sorrowful in his heart. He felt that they were in the same boat. When he was young, he had fallen from the peak to the bottom as well. He had suffered the cold gazes and humiliation of everyone. However, that Xiao Chen chose to sink into depravity. From then on, he was unable to recover. If it were not for Xiao Chen's arrival, he might have been mediocre for the rest of his life. However, Lu Riyue chose to shoulder all of this alone. she turned into a rose with thorns. Her character was as sharp as a sword. She was ruthless to her enemies and even more ruthless to herself. Chapter 171. She hid her weak side under her saber, not letting anyone see it. After suppressing it for a long time, she poured out all the grievances and suffering she had suffered in one breath. In the end, the corners of Lu Ruye's eyes turned moist. After a while, her tears turned into a smile. "Thank you for chatting with me for so long. Go back first, let me be alone for a while." Everyone needed to vent, especially those women who looked like strong women. If they kept the loneliness in their hearts, they would definitely suffer from it for a long time. Xiao Chen smiled faintly and slowly got up. He had already tossed aside the desires in his heart. Since he had completed his mission, there was no need to stay here any longer. Xiao Chen took out a set of clean clothes from the universe ring and placed them at the side of the hot spring. Then, he jumped out and headed for the entrance of the cave. Xiao Chen knew that when he walked out of the cave and saw Lu Ruyue again, she would turn back into that thorny rose. She would only reveal her saber-like appearance. She would no longer have the appearance of a little girl. Seeing Xiao Chen leave, Lu Ruyue felt slightly disappointed in her heart. After a while, she smiled bitterly and shook her head. Then, she sank her entire body into the water. The misty hot spring made one feel warm. However, one's heart slowly cooled down. There were some things that were impossible, one should not think about them. Early the next morning, Xiao Chen held the name card in his hand and thought about it carefully. In the end, he decided to make a trip to Jade Maiden Peak. Although the medicinal spring could speed up the healing of Lu Ruyue's wounds, it would definitely not be as effective as the medicinal pill he was going to refine. However, in terms of removing scars, it was definitely not as good as the pill he was going to concoct. Thus, he wrote down all the herbs he needed and went to look for Lu Suifeng. When Lu Suifeng heard that Xiao Chen wanted him to bring him to Jade Maiden Peak, he quickly shook his head and said, "I can't. Look at how swollen my face is, like a pig's head. How can I go out like that? If Miss Xinyan saw me, I would feel like dying." Xiao Chen did not expect Lu Suifeng to use such a reason to reject him. He found it funny and settled for the next best thing. "Then, can you send me to the foot of Jade Maiden Peak?" Lu Suifeng laughed and said, "Let me say this first, I will not go up the mountain. I will go change into a cloak later." After a while, Lu Suifeng appeared wearing a pitch-black cloak. The hood completely covered his face in the shadows, making it hard for others to see him clearly. However, it looked somewhat strange. "Hee, that's more like it. Lead the way," Xiao Chen said with a faint smile. When Lu Suifeng had nothing to do, he liked to go to Jade Maiden Peak. Thus, he was very familiar with the route. He led Xiao Chen to the foot of Jade Maiden Peak. Jade Maiden Peak towered high above the ground. Clouds and mist lingered at the peak, and there were countless lush greenery in the mountains. The entire Jade Maiden Peak was filled with a delicate fragrance. It could be smelled from far away, and when one smelled it, it made one feel relaxed and happy. What surprised Xiao Chen was that there were many disciples from the other peaks at the foot of the mountain. All of them were standing there elegantly in groups of 2s and 3s, chatting and laughing. "There are Jade Maiden Peak disciples coming down the mountain." Suddenly, someone said loudly. The crowd was instantly stirred up, and they all rushed over like a swarm of bees. They did not care about their elegance as they pushed and shoved each other to the front. They only wanted to be the first to reach the Jade Maiden Peak disciples. "Junior Sister Xiao, are you going to do a sect mission? Let me accompany you. I recently advanced to superior grade Martial Grand Master. I can guarantee your safety." "Junior Sister Xiao, I obtained an Earth-ranked spirit weapon a few days ago. My strength has increased greatly. Let me accompany you. Let me accompany you. Junior Sister Xiao, I have a profound ranked battle armor. I can give it to you, and it will protect you." A girl in white clothes was surrounded by the crowd like the moon surrounded by stars. There were Heavenly Saber Pavilion inner disciples in the surroundings, trying to please her. They all expressed their desire to go with her to do sect missions. The girl with the surname Xiao had an impatient expression on her face. She ignored the people around her. In the end, she became annoyed and scolded the people around her. Only then did no one continue to follow her. Xiaochen found it interesting and asked, "What's going on? Why is there a group of people surrounding a girl?" Lu Suifeng replied, "The other peaks of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion have more males than females. If those disciples want to find a girl, they can only target Jade Maiden Peak. However, men are not allowed to go up Jade Maiden Peak. So they can only wait at the bottom of the mountain. So that's the case. How did Lu Suifeng go up?" When Xiaochen thought of this, he could not help but ask suspiciously. Could there be something special about Lu Suifeng? Lu Suifeng smiled proudly, "Who am I? How can these people compare to me? If I want to enter Jade Maiden Peak, it would be easy. Furthermore, I would be very popular. These people cannot compare to me." As he spoke, the Jade Maiden Peak disciple with the surname Xiao walked over to the two of them. Lu Suifeng was clearly nervous. He quickly stopped talking and lowered his head. The instant she walked past them, the girl suddenly stopped. She turned around and looked at Lu Suifeng carefully. After a while, she revealed a strange expression. "Lu Suifeng, why are you dressed like that? Didn't you apply for leave due to your injuries? Why are you so lively now? I was just about to look for you." Lu Suifeng smiled helplessly. "Junior sister Xiao, I am here to accompany a friend. I am really injured. I am not lying to you." Junior sister Xiao snorted, "Who would believe you? Quickly come back with me. After you left for the past few days, there have been birds pecking at the herb field that I am in charge of. I was scolded by Master. Quickly come back with me and help me chase away those birds. Otherwise, I will tell Master that you are lying. You will not be allowed to go up there in the future. Let's see how you are going to chase after senior sister Chu then." Xiaochen found it funny. So this Lu Suifeng is on Jade Maiden Peak, doing things like chasing birds to protect the herb field. He was so magnanimous earlier. No wonder he can go up Jade Maiden Peak. When the surrounding people heard that junior sister Xiao needed to go up the mountain to chase away the birds, they all surrounded her. They shouted, "Since he is not willing, I will go and help you." Junior sister Xiao snorted and said, "Who asked you to go? Go somewhere cool and stay." Xiao Chen was astonished in his heart. He did not expect that there would be so many people fighting over a job like chasing birds. From this perspective, Lu Suifeng did indeed have the right to be arrogant. Lu Suifeng was forced into a corner. He was caught red-handed. He could only follow junior sister Xiao to Jade Maiden Peak. Xiaochen followed behind the two of them in silence. Who is he? Doesn't he know that outsiders are not allowed to enter Jade Maiden Peak? Junior sister Xiao said unhappily when she saw Xiaochen following them. Lu Suifeng quickly explained, he has a name card from Martial Grand Uncle. He was invited. You are Yi Chen. Junior sister Zhao's eyes lit up as she said in pleasant surprise. After a while, she pouted and said, he does not look that good. Why did you chase Song Ke away? This girl was really direct. Xiaochen smiled faintly and did not reply. The three of them continued walking forward. Along the way, Xiaochen found out how Lu Suifeng chased the birds away. The herb field on Jade Maiden Peak was very vast. Many of the birds on the mountain had their eyes on the herb field. Occasionally, they would go down and peck at the herbs. Furthermore, these birds were not ordinary birds. They had been bathing in the rich spiritual energy of Jade Maiden Peak for a long time. Their intelligence was much higher than the birds on the mountain. Once they found an opening, they would immediately swarm over. Just any one of the herbs in the herb field on the peak would be worth 1,000 gold. It would be a pity if an old herb was eaten by the birds. Hence, the upper echelons of Jade Maiden Peak had a headache dealing with these birds. Sometimes, when some spirit herbs matured, there would even be high-ranked flying spirit beasts coming over. Hence, every herb field would be guarded by people. There was a period of time when Jade Maiden Peak did not have enough manpower. Hence, they issued a sect mission. Lu Suifeng was very lucky and received this mission. Lu Suifeng was very good at chasing birds away. As long as it was the herb field that he was guarding, there would never be a bird pecking at it. Hence, when the deadline for the mission was up, the Jade Maiden Peak's Peak Master even gave him the position of a field guard, in charge of chasing birds away. Xiao Chen also found out that the girl with the surname Xiao was called Yuhuan. She was 14 years old this year. Along the way, she often pestered Xiao Chen and asked him some strange questions, giving him a headache. Soon, the group arrived at the first checkpoint. Xiao Chen handed over his martial grand-uncle's name card. The person guarding the checkpoint did not stop them. He even sent someone to lead the way for Xiao Chen. When they saw Xiao Chen directly climbing up Jade Maiden Peak, the people at the foot of the mountain were extremely astonished. Some of them thought that they would be able to climb up Jade Maiden Peak directly. In the end, before they reached the checkpoint, they were mercilessly thrown down from the slope. They fell flat on their faces and rolled down. They had lost a lot of face. "We can't go up." "How can that brat go in directly?" someone said in astonishment. There was someone who had seen Xiao Chen yesterday. He mocked, "He is using Martial Grand Uncle Shen's name card. If you have it, of course, you can go up directly as well." So, he is Yi Chen. He is only an inferior grade Martial Grand Master. How did he chase Song Ke away? He used Qingyun Peak's secret treasure to chase Song Ke away. Furthermore, the old Peak Master of Qingyun Peak also made a move. With his strength, how could he be a match for the Biyan Peak's Peak Master? On the peak, Xiao Chen still could not hear these words. After he arrived at a herb field, he no longer traveled with Lu Suifeng and Xiao Yuhuan. Herb fields appeared in front of Xiao Chen one after another. It was an eye-opener. Lu Suifeng's words were indeed true. As he walked, he saw over 10,000 herbs. Aside from some spirit herbs that required a special environment to grow, all the herbs in the Tianwu continent could be easily found here. After a while, Xiao Chen was brought to the top of a steep cliff. There was a wooden pavilion at the side of the cliff. It stood in the air, like a pavilion in the sky. "Senior Brother Yi, wait here for a while. I will go and inform Martial Grand Uncle first." Xiao Chen nodded. Not long later, the girl who brought Xiao Chen here came out and led Xiao Chen to the hall of the pavilion. The fairy-like girl that he saw yesterday was sitting on a wooden chair with a gentle smile on her face. When Xiao Chen saw this girl again, he still could not believe that she was already over 200 years old. Chapter 172. However, this time, he did not dare to be careless. Xiao Chen said respectfully, "Yi Chen greets Ancestral Martial Ant. I have offended you yesterday. I hope Ancestral Martial Ant is magnanimous enough to forgive me." The girl smiled faintly and took out a bottle of pills and handed it to Xiao Chen. She said, "No problem. I did not expect you to fall today. I have something to ask you. Did you personally refine this pill?" Xiao Chen received it and took a look. It was the blood-replenishing pill that he personally refined. He started to think. Back then, when Nangong Yen saw the pill that I refined, he was incomparably shocked as well. Could it be that the pill that I refined has some sort of secret? However, this was not the time to think about this. How should he answer? After hesitating for a while, Xiao Chen decided to answer honestly, reporting to Ancestral Martial Ant, "This pill was indeed personally refined by me. I wonder if there is anything wrong with it." A strange look flashed in the depths of the fairy-like girl's eyes. She smiled and said, "There is nothing wrong with it. I would like to ask you to help me refine a pill. I wonder if you can help me with this." Lingyun Mountain Range, at the foot of Qingyun Peak, Ling Liusu had a complicated expression as she stood there. After hesitating for a while, she finally made up her mind. She turned into a red shadow and quickly headed for the middle of the mountain. After a while, she arrived outside Lu Rui's courtyard at the middle of Qingyan Peak. She took out a bottle of pills and clenched it tightly. Finally, she entered Lu Rui's courtyard. "Young pavilion master, why are you here?" Xiao Meng came out from Lu Rui's room. When she saw Leng Liusu, she asked in astonishment. Leng Liusu said indifferently, "Where is Lu Rui? Is she in her room?" Xiao Meng knew about the grudge between Lu Rui and Leng Liusu. She did not like Leng Liusu. She said softly, "Elder sister Rui just fell asleep. It is best not to disturb her now." "She fell asleep? That's good too." Leng Liusu took out the bottle of pills and handed it to Xiao Meng. She said, "Although I do not know the name of this pill, it is quite effective in treating external and internal injuries." Xiao Meng received it suspiciously. She opened the bottle and took out a pill. She revealed a doubtful expression and said, "Why is it the same as the pill that Brother Yichen gave me?" Leng Liusu, who was already at the door, stopped. She turned around and asked Xiao Meng excitedly, "Brother Yichen gave you this pill?" Xiao Meng nodded and took out a bottle of medicinal pills from her pocket. She said, "This is the medicinal pill that Brother Yichen gave Xiao Yang. It's exactly the same as yours." "Yi Yichen, it is." It was like a bolt of lightning struck Leng Liusu's mind. She was stunned. She did not expect it to be Xiao Chen. Could it be that he was by her side that night? Leng Liusu recovered her wits and said, "Where is he? Where did he go? Is he still at Qingyan Peak?" Leng Liusu suddenly felt a rush to find Xiao Chen. The truth was too unbelievable. The person she had been searching for so long was actually that perverted thief. Yichen went to Jade Maiden Peak with Sui Feng early in the morning. In Jade Maiden Peak, Xiao Chen felt that he heard wrong. His martial granduncle actually wanted him to help him refine a medicinal pill. Although he could not feel the other party's strength, Xiao Chen guessed that this person was at least a martial monarch. With such strength and being in Jade Maiden Peak for a long time, how could his alchemy skills be weak? "Martial granduncle, are you joking? Brat, what virtue or ability do you have to help martial granduncle refine medicine?" "My name is Shen Manjun. You can just call me Senior Shen." "Martial granduncle sounds very old." "Truth be told, I have never liked it," said Shen Manjun with a gentle smile. "I can sense the spirit core in your body, so I know the grade of your medicine. Therefore, the pill I want to concoct is not because of the grade, but because of the concoction method. I have a pill recipe here, take a look." Xiao Chen suddenly felt a lingering fear in his heart. He had actually sensed his spiritual core in an instant, but he had not felt it at all. Just how strong was this person? Immortal Cloud Life Extending Pill. After taking a look at the alchemic recipe, Xiao Chen was startled. His expression did not change, and Xiao Chen looked at it carefully. After he finished looking, Xiao Chen somewhat understood what Shen Manjun meant. It turned out that the refining method of this pill was exactly the same as the alchemy method in the Compendium of Cultivation. Shen Manjun might not have been able to figure it out. After he saw Xiao Chen's blood replenishing pill, he immediately felt that the refining method of this blood replenishing pill was very different from the current refining method. This Immortal Cloud Life Extending Pill requires an ancient alchemy method. I am completely unable to figure out how to do it. This blood replenishing pill of yours should be refined using ancient alchemy methods. As long as you know how to do it, you should not be afraid of not being able to refine the Immortal Cloud Life Extending Pill, Shen Manjun said softly from the side. Xiao Chen thought very quickly. When he thought of Nangong Yan's attitude back then, he felt that he could not admit to this matter immediately. After all, one might know a person for a long time, but not their heart. Xiao Chen had only met Shen Manjun once or twice. If he admitted to it, it would be hard to guarantee the consequences. With his current strength, if something really happened to him, he would not be able to resist Shen Manjun at all. After he made up his mind, Xiao Chen said in a deep voice, "Senior Shen, my alchemy methods came from a mysterious alchemist. I do not understand the refining method of this immortal cloud life extending pill. Shen Manjuan's eyes were filled with disappointment as she said, I need to refine this pill to save an old friend's life. If you can really refine it, I can help you raise your cultivation to the martial highness realm within a month. Unexpectedly, it was not for her. This surprised Xiao Chen. However, looking at Shen Manjuan's vitality, it gave off the feeling that she had lived for a long time. It would not be a problem for her to live for another 100 years. She did not seem like someone who was lethargic. Raising his cultivation to martial saint within a month was not attractive to Xiao Chen at all. He knew that there were medicinal pills in this world that could raise one's cultivation rapidly. Or they could receive the cultivation of their predecessors and directly raise their cultivation. Xiao Chen did not know which method Shen Manjun was referring to. However, regardless of the method, they all had the same drawback. This cultivation was not his. If he could not refine it completely, it might become a hindrance in the future. When Shen Manjun saw that Xiao Chen did not seem to be interested in this suggestion, she continued, if you are worried that you will not be able to refine this cultivation, you can choose other items of equivalent value. Be it spirit stones, secret treasures, martial techniques, medicinal pills, spirit weapons, or battle armor, they are all fine. Xiao Chen quickly said, Senior Shen has misunderstood. I really do not know how to refine this immortal cloud life extending pill. Even if you make a huge promise, there is nothing I can do. Although I do not know how to refine this immortal cloud life extending pill, I do have an immortal cloud life extending pill that has been passed down in my clan. I have not used it yet. If Senior needs it, I can exchange it with Senior. After Xiao Chen spoke, he stepped forward and took out the immortal cloud life extending pill from his universe ring, handing it to Shen Manjun. To some of the older generation, this item was very valuable. However, it was useless to Xiao Chen. He might as well do her a favor. Coincidentally, he had something to ask of Shen Manjun. Killing two birds with one stone, why not? Shen Manjuan's originally despaired heart suddenly rejoiced. She received the immortal cloud life extending pill and checked it carefully. It was indeed a complete immortal cloud life extending pill. However, it seemed a little different. This is a superior grade immortal cloud life extending pill. Its effects are twice as good as a regular immortal cloud life extending pill. It can extend a person's lifespan by 40 years, Shen Manjun said hoarsely when she finally saw what was different. Originally, Xiao Chen did not hold any hope. He did not expect to receive such a pleasant surprise. Shen Manjun revealed an extremely happy expression, Yi Chen, if you need anything, you can tell me immediately. If I can do it, I will do it for you immediately. If I can't, I will find someone to do it for you. Xiao Chen did not have anything that he needed urgently. However, he was anxious to obtain the ingredients for the beauty-nourishing pill. However, it was not worth it to use them to exchange for the immortal cloud life-extending pill. Can you exchange them for spirit stones? It would be best if you have medial-grade spirit stones. Shen Manjun opened her eyes wide. She did not expect Xiao Chen to make such a simple request. She smiled and said, that is easy. I will give you 500 inferior-grade spirit stones and 20 medial-grade spirit stones. What do you think? Being able to exchange for so many spirit stones shocked Xiao Chen. After a while, Xiao Chen said, actually, I came to Jade Maiden Peak today because I have a request. I hope to purchase some spirit herbs. Shen Manjun received the note that Xiao Chen handed over and took a look. After she finished reading, she said, I think you probably do not have any contribution points. So you want to use this as a backdoor? Unfortunately, I am not in charge of the herb fields on Jade Maiden Peak. Furthermore, I need contribution points to exchange for spirit herbs. Otherwise, even if I use spirit stones, I will not be able to purchase them. Xiao Chen continued, in that case, I would like to ask, how many contribution points do I need to exchange for these spirit herbs? Can Senior be my guarantor? I will owe you these contribution points first. I will definitely be able to repay them within a month. Shen Manjun muttered to herself for a while before saying, about 500 contribution points. Being a guarantor is indeed not in line with the rules. However, if you urgently need these spirit herbs, I can make an exception for you. Xiao Chen felt joy in his heart. He immediately wrote a promissory note. After Shen Manjun received it, she called someone over. Soon, someone brought over all the spirit herbs that Xiao Chen needed. Keep these spirit stones first. I only have 10 medial-grade spirit stones on me. I will get someone to send the rest to you the day after tomorrow. Before Xiao Chen left, Shen Manjun passed the spirit stones to Xiao Chen. After leaving Shen Manjun's pavilion, Xiao Chen looked at the bright sun in the sky. He was in an extremely good mood. On this trip to Jade Maiden Peak, not only did he manage to complete his original plan, he even obtained so many spirit stones for free. It was simply a windfall. It looked like stealing Gu Yunbin's medicinal pills back then was a wise move. Xiao Chen's face was filled with a smile as he arrived at the herb field where Lu Suifeng was. Along the way, he met many Jade Maiden Peak disciples. All of them were as pretty as flowers, they were youthful and very pleasing to the eye. No wonder there were so many people at the foot of the mountain trying to get in. Even if they were doing odd jobs here, it was a blessing to have so many beauties watching them. It seemed like someone had already informed Xiao Chen. Along the way, he did not meet with any questions. He directly arrived at the herb field where Lu Suifeng was. Beside the herb field, Lu Suifeng was chewing on a stalk of grass. He wore a conical bamboo hat and sat on the ground listlessly. His expression was extremely unsightly. Chapter 173. Xiao Chen walked over and smiled. Why is your complexion so unsightly? Were you dumped by someone? Lu Suifeng smiled bitterly and said, more or less. Earlier, when last Xiao took off my cloak, she immediately made fun of my pig face for a long time. Furthermore, she actually called Miss Xinyan over as well. My image has been completely destroyed. Do you think Miss Xinyan will still care about me in the future? This fellow wants to chase after someone, but he can't put down his pride. Xiao Chen looked down on this in his heart. He did not want to discuss this topic with him, so he said, I have already obtained the herbs I wanted. I will go down the mountain first to refine the herbs for your sister. When Lu Suifeng heard this, his expression turned serious. I did not expect ancestral martial uncle to give you face. How did you do it? I placed 500 contribution points on ancestral martial uncle. I said I would return it within a month, Xiao Chen answered honestly. When Lu Suifeng heard this, he said in astonishment, you are finished. I can't even get 50 contribution points a month. You actually want to get 500 contribution points in a month? When Xiao Chen heard this, his expression changed. Could it be that 500 contribution points is a lot? Why did Senior Shen not remind me at that time? In reality, Xiao Chen had misunderstood Shen Manjun. Shen Manjun had not done a sect mission for over 100 years already. Her impression of contribution points was still the same as before. Thus, she did not feel that it was difficult to obtain 500 contribution points in a month. If she knew, she would definitely extend the time. What will happen if I cannot complete it by the deadline? Xiao Chen asked. Lu Suifeng scratched his head and said, that is hard to say. There has never been such a precedent before. However, the most important rule of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion is to accumulate contribution points. You will know about it in the future. If you set a precedent and still cannot complete it, the people from the Hall of Contributions will definitely let you off easily. This is because this precedent cannot be set. Xiao Chen thought about it for a while and felt that what Lu Suifeng said made sense. Setting a precedent was already breaking the rules. If they still could not fulfill the agreement, the impact would be too bad. If Xiao Chen were in the upper echelon's shoes and wanted to protect the Hall of Contributions' prestige, he would definitely kill the chicken to warn the monkey, shutting everyone's mouths. Lu Suifeng said, Yi Chen, why don't you talk to Marshal Granduncle again and ask him to extend the deadline? As the two of them were talking, a large flock of birds suddenly swooped down from the sky. The timing of this flock of birds was very good. It was the moment when Lu Suifeng was distracted. Lu Suifeng was already in a bad mood. When he saw the situation, he scolded angrily, "Bunch of bastards. There is no end to this." Swoosh! With a flick of his finger, a few stones flew out, and a few birds immediately fell to the ground. With a few more rustling sounds, the flock of birds was chased away. Senior brother's finger technique is really good. There will be bird meat to eat again tonight. Hee hee. Xiao Yuhuan laughed happily as she picked up the birds that fell to the ground. When Lu Suifeng saw that Xiao Yuhuan still dared to come out, he quickly chased after her and scolded, "Silly girl, you still dare to show yourself? I will beat you to death." "Senior brother, don't worry. This pig head of yours actually has quite a character. Who knows, senior sister Xinyun might have a unique taste and fall in love with you." When Xiao Chen saw the two of them chasing after Xiao Yuhuan, he smiled faintly and headed for Shen Manjun's pavilion. He felt that it was better to look for Shen Manjun again and extend the deadline to be safer. What? Martial granduncle already left? When is she coming back? When Xiao Chen rushed to the pavilion, the maidservant at the door told him that Shen Manjun left right after Xiao Chen left. "I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 days, maybe 3 or 5 months. Martial granduncle's movements do not follow any pattern." Xiao Chen could only descend Jade Maiden Peak helplessly. There was still a large group of disciples from the other peaks waiting at the foot of the peak. Xiao Chen ignored these discussions and headed straight for Qingyan Peak. The most important thing now was to quickly refine the beauty-nourishing pill. After that, he would think of a way to obtain the 500 contribution points within a month, to prevent himself from getting into trouble. Halfway there, Xiao Chen suddenly stopped. He turned around and saw that there was no one behind him. Suddenly, he said, "Friend, after following me for so long, it is time to show yourself." There was no response. Xiao Chen thought suspiciously in his heart. Could it be that I sensed wrongly? Ever since he left Jade Maiden Peak, he felt a figure following behind him. He scanned the area with his spiritual sense a few times, but he did not feel anything. However, he did not completely trust his spiritual sense. His spiritual sense did not discover the martial saint behind him in Evil Wind Valley. Xiao Chen said it again, but there was still no one appearing. Xiao Chen could not be bothered with it anymore. Now that everyone knew there was an old peak master in Qingyan Peak, there should not be anyone seeking trouble. Just as Xiao Chen turned around to leave, a figure landed firmly on the ground. Xiao Chen quickly turned around with his guard up. When he saw the appearance of this person, he could not help but feel a headache. If this person wanted to seek trouble with him, there was no need for him to fear the old peak master of Qingyan Peak. That person looked at Xiao Chen quietly. It was unknown what he was thinking. The atmosphere seemed a little off. Xiao Chen looked at Ling Liusu's appearance. Unexpectedly, she did not make a move on him the moment he appeared. This was not in line with Ling Liusu's character. "Yi Chen, let me ask you. Were you the one who saved me from Ling Tianyue that day?" The two of them stared at each other for a long time. In the end, Ling Liusu could not help but ask. Although Xiao Chen was suspicious of how Ling Liusu knew about this, it was a good thing. This would resolve the misunderstanding between the two of them. Xiao Chen said indifferently, "You can say that. Why did you save me?" Xiao Chen smiled faintly. "Back then, when I entered a state of berserking qi in the pool of water, you coincidentally saved my life. I saved your life, so we are even." When Ling Liusu heard this, she smiled faintly. "Since you saved me, why did you take advantage of the situation to kiss me before you left? It looks like I did not misunderstand you when I called you a lecher." "Damn, she found out." Xiao Chen said awkwardly, "Did I? I don't seem to remember. Perhaps you sensed wrongly. Am I that unsightly? You kissed me, yet you do not even have the courage to admit it," Ling Liusu said sullenly as her expression changed. Xiao Chen could only correct himself, "You are not unsightly. I did kiss you." Who? Suddenly, Leng Liusu flew forward and drew her saber with a huang-dang sound. A dazzling saber light created a strong wind as it hacked at Xiao Chen violently. She was still fine earlier, fighting as she pleased. Xiao Chen did not understand. He executed the 3 flowing cloud images and turned it into a vast ocean. The saber swung gently and splashed out like water. Water is good like water. Water benefits all things but does not fight. It looks like it does not fight, but in reality, it fights by not fighting. No matter how strong the external force is, it will not be able to quell the water. Even if it is really quelled, it will immediately recover. Even if you have thousands of soldiers and horses, splitting mountains and seas, I will not budge. I fight without fighting. This was the true meaning of the 3 flowing cloud images. Counterattacking while defending, using the unchanging to deal with the myriad changes. Dang! Leng Liusu took a step back. Her face was filled with astonishment. 3 months ago, she could still easily knock Xiao Chen back. Now that she had advanced to inferior grade martial saint, she could not knock him back. Leng Liusu pushed off the ground and hacked at him with her saber again. Xiao Chen frowned slightly and sheathed his saber with a huang-dang sound. He did not dodge this saber strike. Leng Liusu's attack did not contain any killing intent. If they fought, there would be no end to it. Xiao Chen did not have the time to waste here, so he could only take the risk. Indeed, Leng Liusu's saber stopped when it was only half an inch away from Xiao Chen's forehead. The instant the saber stopped, the wind created by the saber trembled. It blew Xiao Chen's hair back gently. Are you not afraid that I will kill you with one saber strike? Leng Liusu said coldly, of all the masters, you chose to take Lu Riyue as your master. Xiao Chen's expression turned cold, he did not like hearing these words. He said indifferently, who I take as my master is up to me. I think the grudges between us have been settled. I gave you a chance to kill me earlier, but you did not. I will take my leave now. After retreating, Xiao Chen immediately turned around and executed the blue dragon cloud soaring art. He dashed on the ground and slowly disappeared from Leng Liusu's vision. Leng Liusu watched as Xiao Chen left. She smiled gently, leaving after eating, is there such a good thing? Lu Riyue, let's see how you are going to compete with me this time. After returning to Qingyun Peak, Xiao Chen stopped thinking about Leng Liusu. He focused on refining the beauty-nourishing pill. The rank of this beauty-nourishing pill was not high, but the ingredients needed to refine it were extremely complicated. Several of the ingredients required aged herbs. Furthermore, in order to prevent failure, he prepared a total of 5 sets of ingredients. This was the reason why the herbs were so expensive. Xiao Chen took out the blue dragon medicine cauldron and Feng Feishue's figure immediately appeared in his mind. He smiled gently and collected his thoughts. He said, it seems like I have not refined a new medicinal pill for a long time. I wonder what my success rate is. Xiao Chen took out the herbs from the universe ring one by one and arranged them neatly on the table. He closed his eyes and started to carefully recall the steps to refining the beauty-nourishing pill. Not long after, Xiao Chen slowly opened his eyes. He revealed a confident expression. He flicked his finger and 6 strands of purple flames separated by half a meter. They formed a circle and floated around Xiao Chen. Today, Xiao Chen's cultivation realm was much higher than when he was in Mo City. Naturally, he no longer had to worry about the lack of essence or the lack of control. He could only use 1 strand of flame to extract the medicinal liquid. The instant Xiao Chen flicked out the flames with his right hand, he patted the wooden table with his left hand. He used his strength and the 6 herbs flew into the air. They automatically flew into the flames and started to burn. Who? With a thought from Xiao Chen, the spiritual core entered the flames using his spiritual sense. It instantly entered the interior of the 6 herbs and quickly found the nodes. After that, he controlled the flames and started to burn them continuously. The 6 strands of flames quickly revolved around Xiao Chen and the herbs in the center of the flames quickly melted. Xiao Chen's hands were very fast. He quickly placed 6 porcelain bottles on the table and caught all the medicinal liquid. Immediately, new herbs poured into the flames. Just like that, the herbs on the table slowly decreased while the number of porcelain bottles increased. Not long later, all the medicinal liquid had been burned. The first step of refining the pill was completed. Xiao Chen heaved a sigh of relief. He stretched out his right index finger and the flames gathered again. With a "so" sound, they were sent into the blue dragon medicine cauldron. Chapter 174. Xiao Chen followed the steps and slowly poured the medicinal liquids on the table into the medicine cauldron. When all the medicinal liquids were poured in, a fragrant medicinal fragrance assaulted his nose and spread throughout the entire room. Xiao Chen patiently controlled the purple thunder true fire and slowly merged the medicinal liquids together. Some of the unnecessary impurities flowed out of the mouth of the blue dragon medicine cauldron. Although the refining method of the beauty-nourishing pill was complicated, its rank was not very high. Thus, it was relatively easy to refine, it just required a little more time. ZZ. After burning for a long time, the medicinal embryo of the beauty-nourishing pill finally formed. Xiao Chen started to lower the temperature of the flame and proceeded to the third step of molding, using a warm flame to slowly shape it. This molding was the most important step in the refining process to determine the quality of the medicinal pill. The quality of the molding directly determined the rank of the medicinal pill. Thus, Xiao Chen did not dare to be careless. The uneven medicinal embryo slowly became smooth under the control of Xiao Chen's purple flame. Finally, a brightly colored medicinal pill was formed. Xiao Chen finally revealed a satisfied smile. Next up was the final step of nourishing it. Rings of multicolored pill markings started to appear on the medicinal pill. With a huang-dang sound, the refined medicinal pill flowed out of the mouth and into the porcelain bottle. Xiao Chen picked it up and sniffed it. He felt slightly excited in his heart. Success! I succeeded on my first try. This is a good sign. Xiao Chen revealed a sincere expression of joy. He still had 4 batches of ingredients in the universe ring, he could not waste them. Xiao Chen started to continue refining. However, his luck was not as good as the first time. His success rate was only half, and he failed twice. However, his overall success rate was not low. After putting away the 3 beauty-nourishing pills, Xiao Chen headed for Lu Ruyue's courtyard. When he arrived at Lu Ruyue's door, he was about to knock when the door opened with a creak, revealing Lu Ruyue's somewhat astonished face. The blood on Lu Ruyue's body had already been washed clean. She had regained her usual appearance. She was still wearing the tight-fitting training robes, and her complexion looked much better. However, there was a faint scar on her face that had yet to fade. For a girl, this affected her beauty. However, based on Lu Ruyue's appearance, she did not seem to mind. Is something the matter? Lu Ruyue asked. Xiao Chen recovered his wits and nodded. He handed the beauty-nourishing pill to Lu Ruyue and said, "Elder sister Ruyue, this is a beauty-nourishing pill that I refined myself. It can remove scars and nourish the skin." When Lu Ruyue heard this, she smiled. She felt happy in her heart. All girls love to be beautiful. Naturally, Lu Ruyue was no exception. It was just that she did not have a strong desire in this aspect. "Are you trying to bribe master?" Lu Ruyue joked as she received the medicinal pill. Xiao Chen smiled faintly. "Elder sister Ruyue, I will be going to the Hall of Contributions later. I might not return to Qingyun Peak for a month." Merit Hall. Lu Ruyue thought for a while before saying, "It is good to go." Many of the martial techniques at the summit of Qingyun Peak require contribution points to exchange for. "Come with me. Your basic saber techniques have already reached small perfection. Before we go, I will teach you a secret technique of Qingyun Peak." Xiao Chen's expression changed slightly. He said, "Elder sister Ruyue, your injuries have not healed yet. It is not good for you to circulate your essence. Let's talk about it after I return." Although Xiao Chen really wanted to learn Qingyun Peak's secret technique, given Lu Rue's current condition, it was not a good time to teach it. If she circulated her essence while she was recuperating, it would be very harmful to her body. Lu Rue smiled gently and said, "There is no problem. I am very clear about my own body." Qingyun Peak, Dueling Grounds. Lu Rue stood across from Xiao Chen and said, "The Heavenly Saber Pavilion's martial techniques all have their own specialties. The speciality of Qingyun Peak's saber technique is its speed, a saber that is even faster than the wind. Hence, the secret techniques of Qingyun Peak are all related to speed. There is a total of 7 secret techniques of Qingyun Peak. According to the Lunar Shadow Saber, there is only one that is suitable for you, Clear Wind Chop." Clear Wind Chop. Xiao Chen remembered that he had once obtained a Clear Wind Chop martial technique. He could not help but rummage through his universe ring. After a while, he took out a martial technique manual and handed it to Lu Rue. "This is a martial technique manual that I obtained in the past. Is it this one?" Lu Rue felt it was strange. She received it and took a look. After that, under Xiao Chen's astonished gaze, she threw it into the air. Then, she drew her small saber and danced in the air. The Clear Wind Chop manual was split open. Shwa! 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 Countless sounds of wind could be heard in the air. As Xiao Chen stood across from her, he could feel the intense wind. The cool breeze caused his clothes to flutter and his hair to flutter non-stop. The book trembled in the air. The pages of the book turned into loose pages and floated away. Then, they neatly fell from the air and stacked on top of each other. By the time the small saber returned to its scabbard, the pages of the book had already been split open. The book that fell to the ground was surprisingly neat. The topmost page was actually the cover of the book. If Xiao Chen had not seen it with his own eyes, he would have thought that the book on the ground was an intact book. It was too neat. This is an incomplete manual that was spread out. It is not very useful. What I executed earlier was the Clear Wind Chop. I'm not sure if you saw it clearly. Lu Rue explained to Xiao Chen. Nonsense, I only read it once. How could I have seen it clearly? Xiao Chen shook his head honestly. When Lu Rue heard this, she said, "It is fine if you did not see it clearly. You just have to remember the main point of the Clear Wind Chop. Clear wind, clear wind. Only the clear wind, not the saber. Only the clear wind, not the saber." Xiao Chen repeated this phrase in his heart a few times. Suddenly, he came to a realization. When Lu Rue drew her saber, the saber sliced through the air and created a cool breeze. It was clearly an air current created by the saber. However, Xiao Chen could only feel the presence of the cool breeze. He could not feel the saber as clearly as the saber itself. Seeing that Xiao Chen seemed to have understood something, Lu Rue continued, "The meaning of this phrase is to hide your killing qi in the cool breeze. This way, the enemy will not be able to feel the presence of the saber. As such, they will not be able to judge the direction of your saber. It is just like this." After Lu Rue spoke, she took a step forward. She drew her saber and an intense air current was generated. It immediately created an unending cool breeze. In a daze, Xiao Chen seemed to see the small saber in Lu Rue's hand suddenly disappear into the air. Although he did not feel any killing qi, he felt it instinctively. He quickly reacted and took 2 steps back. The instant his feet landed on the ground, the small saber seemed to appear out of nowhere and cut the clothes on his chest. Lu Rue sheathed her saber and turned around. She tossed a book to Xiao Chen and said, "This is the handwritten copy of the Cool Breeze Chop. Although it is handwritten, it is complete. The one in your hand cannot compare to this. Alright, you can go now." Xiao Chen took a look at the secret technique in his hand. After he put it away, he asked, "Is this the end of teaching? It seems like I did not learn anything." Lu Rue burst out laughing. She used the scabbard in her hand to smack Xiao Chen. "What else do you want? This is the essence of what I comprehended. It is enough for you to avoid taking a detour." Just remember the words I told you, only see the cool breeze, not the saber. That's right, don't take on missions that are too dangerous. After you return, I will teach you listening to the sword and communicating with it. Xiao Chen did not know how to reply. He felt that Lu Ryue's kindness was something that he could not bear, it was too heavy. Lu Ryue said, there is no need for you to overthink this. Although we are only a few years apart, we are still master and disciple. Teaching you martial arts is part of my duty. Furthermore, helping you is also helping myself. After bowing sincerely to Lu Ryue, Xiao Chen turned around and walked out of the dueling ground. He prepared to leave Qingyun Peak and rush to the heaven viewing platform. After Xiao Chen was far away, Lu Ryue could not help but cough a few times. The Hall of Contributions, where the sect missions were issued, was located on the bustling heaven viewing platform. This was something that Xiao Chen had heard about along the way. After leaving Qingyun Peak, Xiao Chen immediately increased his speed and rushed to the heaven viewing platform. The heaven viewing platform was very eye-catching in the Lingyun mountain range. That huge platform could be seen even from far away. As the saying goes, looking at the mountain, one does not realize how far it is. Only when one walks do one realize how tiring it is. One could easily see the heaven viewing platform from Qingyun Peak. However, Xiao Chen had to run at full speed for 2 hours before he reached the foot of the mountain. The last time he came to the heaven viewing platform, he had used Yinbin's jade ship. It was very convenient and not as troublesome as today. When Xiao Chen reached the peak, he looked at the tall heaven viewing platform. When he thought about how he had to climb all the way to the peak, he could not help but feel a headache. This junior brother is going to the heaven viewing platform, right? Sit on my flying spirit beast. You only need 2 inferior grade spirit stones. Little junior brother, sit on mine. I only need 1 inferior grade spirit stone. Furthermore, my spirit beast is faster than his. Just as Xiao Chen was about to walk up, a group of people suddenly appeared around him. These people all had a flying spirit beast behind them. They seemed to be sitting in a carriage. However, the price was frighteningly expensive. It was just a trip, yet it cost 1 inferior grade spirit stone. It was even more expensive than flying. In the end, Xiao Chen still spent an inferior grade spirit stone and rode on the flying spirit beast. He estimated the height of the heaven viewing platform. With his speed, it would be dark by the time he reached it. Time was not worth it. Furthermore, he did not lack spirit stones. He had just obtained a large sum of spirit stones earlier. There was still a large number of spirit stones in his universe ring. He would not feel any heartache if he used them now. After that person received the spirit stone, he immediately called Xiao Chen to sit on his flying spirit beast. His spirit beast was a little special, it was a wind-attributed bird. With a leap, a gust of wind blew, and he rose into the air, flying rapidly toward the top of the mountain. His speed was really as fast as he said. Seeing so many people possessing flying spirit beasts, Xiao Chen could not help but feel strange. How did they obtain flying spirit beasts? Among the spirit beasts that could be tamed, the value of flying spirit beasts was the highest. This was because they were the hardest to tame. When the owner of the spirit beast heard Xiao Chen's question, he smiled and replied, I used the sect's contribution points to exchange for them. You can use the sect's contribution points to exchange for them in the sect's spirit beast hall. However, the ranks of these spirit beasts are rather low. Their value is not very high. Xiao Chen felt it was strange, so he asked, what do you mean? That person explained, there is no spirit blood jade, and they were not raised from a young age. Thus, the spirit beasts that are purchased are not more than rank 2. It is easy to imagine the strength of a rank 2 spirit beast. If you want to pull them out to fight, it is almost impossible. You would be thankful that they do not drag you down. Thus, you can only use them as transportation tools. Chapter 175. Otherwise, why do you think there are so many people doing this business at the foot of the mountain? They are all cheated badly. Xiao Chen understood something in his heart. Actually, the main problem was not that these spirit beasts were too weak. Instead, it was that they did not communicate well with their masters. This required a special method. Only the Great Tang Nation's beast abode had such a method. The other nations did not have such a good method to tame them. It was already very impressive to be able to make them understand some ordinary commands. However, this person was talking excitedly. Xiao Chen did not want to interrupt him, so he allowed him to continue. After a while, they arrived at the top of the mountain. After Xiao Chen expressed his thanks, he immediately asked around for the location of the Hall of Contributions. The area of heaven viewing platform was even larger than a small city. There were many buildings, pavilions, and jade palaces. They were arranged in picturesque disorder. There were many people coming and going, it was very bustling. After asking around for the location of the Hall of Contributions, Xiao Chen started to feel his way there. This was his first time there, so he did not know the way. He took a long time before he found the Hall of Contributions. Hall of Contributions? What kind of place is that? With some anticipation, Xiao Chen slowly walked into the Hall of Contributions. There was an endless stream of people going in and out. Did I come to the wrong place? Xiao Chen looked at his surroundings in astonishment. There were many wooden tables in the hall, and there were groups of people seated at the tables. They were drinking and eating, chatting in low voices. If there was a waiter here, this place would be like a restaurant. Furthermore, it would be the simplest kind, without any luxurious decorations. However, if one looked carefully, they would discover that the atmosphere here was completely different from the taverns at the foot of the mountain. There were no loud noises. There were hundreds of people gathered here, but they could only hear some soft chatter. Furthermore, every single one of them exuded a faint murderous aura. When the murderous aura in the hall gathered together, it was like thousands of streams converging into a vast ocean. If a person with a weaker cultivation walked in, they would immediately faint and crawl on the ground in front of this overwhelming killing qi. Xiao Chen focused and calmed himself. He had a premonition that this place was not as simple as he thought. He grasped the lunar shadow saber tightly and slowly walked towards the counter in front. The tables in the hall were arranged very neatly, forming a wide path in the middle. As Xiao Chen walked on it, he felt a little strange. Only his footsteps could be heard on the path. Dang! A saber tore through the air and flew towards Xiao Chen's face. Xiao Chen drew the lunar shadow saber with a huang-dang sound and easily deflected the saber. Just as the steel saber was about to fall to the ground, a huge suction force came over and quickly sucked the steel saber over. The owner of the steel saber was a man wearing Wan Rinfang's attire. He looked at Xiao Chen and said coldly, "Where did this wild brat come from? Don't you know the rules? Is it your turn to accept a mission now?" Xiao Chen looked in the direction of the voice. There were more than 10 inner court disciples wearing the uniform of the 10,000 Fathoms Peak. All of them were looking at Xiao Chen with a murderous look on their faces. The Heavenly Saber Pavilion did not forbid fighting. As long as it did not kill or cripple someone's cultivation, the law enforcement hall would not interfere. Not far away, someone noticed the Qingyun Peak identity token on Xiao Chen's waist. He could not help but sneer. "I was wondering who it was." "So, it is someone from Qingyun Peak." People of the Qingyun Peak obediently find a table and sit down. Today is the day that the Hall of Contributions is issuing high-level sect missions. Once the core disciples of the various peaks have accepted these missions, the order of the Hall of Contributions will be restored. Since it was a sect mission, there would definitely be a difference in difficulty, and the rewards would also vary. Naturally, the rewards for high-level sect missions would be frighteningly high. Moreover, these high-level missions were not available all the time. They were extremely rare. In order to prevent these high-level missions from being snatched away by others, they had to make sure that there were more people and less meat. The disciples of the 5 peaks formed an unspoken rule. Every time there was a high-level mission, the core disciples of the various sects would split the rewards. The people of the Hall of Contributions turned a blind eye to this. The difficulty of a high-level mission would definitely be higher than an ordinary mission. If the core disciples were to complete it, they would be able to complete it earlier. Xiao Qin came at an inopportune time. Coincidentally, there were high-level missions being issued today. The core disciples of the 7 peaks were discussing how to split the high-level missions. The results were not out yet, so the inner disciples in the hall did not move. This was to prevent others from misunderstanding and thinking that they were going to take a high-level mission. There was a kind-hearted inner disciple at the side who told Xiao Qin everything in detail. He advised him to sit down first and wait for the high-level missions to be taken before taking them. Stop trying to persuade him. He is someone who does not even care about the Bian Peak's Peak Master. They are just the core disciples of the 5 peaks. How could they catch his attention? Someone who recognized Xiao Qin said. Haha, that makes sense. I think he is doing this on purpose. He is just an inferior grade martial Grand Master. I can squash him to death with one hand. I don't believe he can exchange moves with a Peak Martial King, the Wanren Peak disciple who made a move against Xiao Qin said. He was already a superior grade martial Grand Master. He was 2 grades higher than Xiao Qin. He looked at Xiao Qin provocatively. Is this a high-level mission? If there really is one, it might be possible for me to obtain 500 contribution points in a month. However, this place seems a little noisy. Dragon seizing hand. Xiao Qin snorted coldly and a murderous intent flashed in his eyes. A huge black hand appeared from nowhere. It passed through the crowd and covered that person's head, smashing down ferociously. The crowd immediately dispersed and the huge black hand smashed down on the wooden table. There was a loud boom, and the huge force caused the wooden table to shatter into splinters that filled the air. Everyone in the Great Hall of the Hall of Contributions looked at Xiao Qin in astonishment. They did not expect Xiao Qin to make a move here. No matter what, he was just one person. How could he be a match for so many Wanren Peak disciples? You really dare to make a move? If I don't cripple you today and let you know what it means to respect your seniors, then I am not Liu. The leader of the group cursed loudly when he saw Xiao Qin make a move. Who? Just as he was about to lead the Wanren Peak disciples forward, a huge black hand suddenly rose up from the ground. It was like a demonic shadow. It clenched and caught him off guard, instantly grabbing him. Xiao Qin pulled gently and a huge force pulled Liu forward from the crowd. Then, he punched him in the chest. The huge black hand disappeared and the punch landed heavily on Liu's chest. He vomited a large mouthful of blood and fell to the ground. Bang! Liu struggled to stand up. However, Xiao Qin stomped on his chest and pushed him back. Xiao Qin used all his strength in this stomp and Liu vomited another mouthful of blood. Liu resisted with all his might under Xiao Qin's foot. However, it was to no avail. He could not help but shout, "It is just a sneak attack. What ability is that? If you have the guts, let me go and we can fight again." Xiao Qin was not a 3-year-old child. Naturally, he would not fall for his tricks. The Wanren Peak disciples at the side had already rushed over. Because they were afraid of Liu, who was under Xiao Qin's foot, they did not dare to make a move. When Liu saw the situation, he shouted, "Attack! This is the Heavenly Saber Pavilion, he does not dare to kill me. Kill!" When the crowd heard this, they no longer hesitated. Saber lights lit up on their sabers and attacked Xiao Qin from all directions. Xiao Qin smiled faintly and executed the 3 flowing cloud images. He did not even draw the lunar shadow saber from its scabbard. His entire body turned into a boundless ocean. Facing the relentless attacks, he did not show any signs of being affected. The lunar shadow saber was like flowing water, it rippled gently, changing its direction continuously. These attacks seemed like they were attacking the surface of the water. They kicked up huge waves. The waves surged and surged. However, after a while, the water surface returned to its calm state. It became as smooth as a mirror once again, without any waves. Perfection like water, fighting without fighting. The attacks that landed on Xiao Chen's scabbard were all reflected back. Everyone was shocked. After a while, the flood-like attacks attacked Xiao Chen again. Xiao Chen did not move at all. His heart was as calm as still water. He sheathed the saber in his hand and firmly blocked the attacks of the crowd. Ka Xie. When the crowd blocked the fifth wave of attacks, Xiao Chen lost his patience. The lunar shadow saber gave off a piercing cold light as it was drawn from its scabbard. In the time it took for a spark to fly, Xiao Chen held the lunar shadow saber in his right hand and stabbed at Li Yu. With a puci sound, the tip of the saber pierced an inch away from Li Yu's heart. A large amount of blood spurted out from Li Yu's mouth. The originally very quiet hall was now completely silent. Everyone's jaws were slightly agape, they were dumbfounded. Their minds were in a momentary daze. Because of the angle, everyone thought that Xiao Chen had pierced Li Yu's heart with his saber. They all thought that Xiao Chen had eaten the guts of a leopard. He actually dared to kill someone in the Hall of Contributions. Xiao Chen quickly drew his saber, causing a large amount of blood to spurt out. While the many Wanren Peak disciples were distracted, he executed the 3 flowing cloud images in succession. Xiao Chen executed the 3 flowing cloud images one after another. His figure became blurry, and it was as though the entire place was filled with Xiao Chen's figure. When all the figures merged together, every Wanren Peak disciple was stabbed in the chest. Electricity leaped around their wounds, blood flowed unceasingly, it was incomparably painful. Rumble. The Wanren Peak disciples fell down one after another. They cried out in pain. In the quiet hall, their cries were very ear-piercing. Hoo-hoo! Suddenly, 2 figures appeared from nowhere. They checked Li Yu's injuries and quickly sealed his acupoints. After that, they exchanged glances and ignored the other injured people, leaving. Xiao Chen understood in his heart that these 2 people were the people in charge of the Hall of Contributions. If he had really killed Li Yu, these 2 people would not have just stood by and watched. Xiao Chen continued walking forward, ignoring the gazes of the crowd. He did not care about anything else. He was preparing to see what kind of high-level mission was the secret agreement of the 5 peaks. In Xiao Chen's opinion, since it was a mission from the Hall of Contributions, everyone had the qualifications to accept it. Taking on all these missions was clearly a form of bullying. Furthermore, he was in urgent need of contribution points. Even if he offended these people, it did not matter. It seemed like he had already offended these people on the heaven ascending platform. Today's incident did not matter. Chapter 176. An old man sat behind the counter with his eyes closed. Xiao Chen walked over and gently knocked on the counter. He said, "Stop pretending to be asleep. Come and take a mission." That old man slowly opened his eyes. There was no light in them, as though he had just woken up. He smiled and said, "I was just taking a nap, not pretending to be asleep. This is your first time taking a mission. Hand over your identity token." The old man received the identity token that Xiao Chen handed over. He looked at it and said, "Qingyun Peak, Yi Chen. I did not expect that after not going out for a while, Qingyun Peak has already recruited someone. Leave the identity token with me first. I will help you register. Go to the 2nd floor to take the mission." 2nd floor? Where is there a 2nd floor? Xiao Chen looked around but did not see any staircases. He could not help but look at the old man suspiciously. The old man was currently looking at Xiao Chen's identity token, carving something. When he saw Xiao Chen looking at him, he thought of something and said, "I forgot, this is your first time here. Just push open that door and you will see it." Xiao Chen looked in the direction that the old man pointed. There was a door in the shadows behind the counter. The position of the door was very well hidden. If one did not look carefully, one would not notice it. Xiao Chen walked to the door and pushed it gently. Then, he stepped in. Before his feet even touched the ground, Xiao Chen felt dazed. The environment before him suddenly changed, and he found himself in a huge library. There is actually a small spatial formation here, Xiaochen thought in astonishment. Then, he started to size up the environment. There was something written in front of the door. Messenger pigeons flew in and out continuously. It was clearly a sealed environment. Xiaochen did not know how these messenger pigeons got in. The first elder of Beichen Peak has issued a mission. He needs a rank 4 spirit core. Quickly record it down. Ordinary mission, 5 contribution points. Jade Maiden Peak is looking for someone to protect the herb fields again. Same rules, simple difficulty, 5 contribution points for half a month. The people from the Spirit Beast Hall need to capture 10 young rank 5 spirit beasts. Difficult mission. 15 contribution points for each young spirit beast. The person who received the pigeon quickly read out the contents of the letter. Someone immediately recorded it down. This was the process of how the Hall of Merit operated. These recorded missions would be sent to the next level for re-examination to see if the difficulty of the mission was too different from the mission itself, or if there was something wrong with the mission reward. After the second trial, there was still the final trial. However, the final trial would only be for the difficult missions. Missions below the difficult rank could be directly issued after the second trial. The sect's missions were divided into 3 levels: basic missions, advanced missions, and special missions. Each level was further divided into 3 smaller levels: easy, normal, and difficult. Xiaochen arrived at the place where the tasks were issued. It was in front of a wooden wall. Behind the wooden wall was the Merit Hall's staff that issued the tasks. The man looked at Xiaochen through the wooden window and asked suspiciously, "Are you here to accept a quest?" This person clearly knew of the unwritten rules set by the other 5 peaks, aside from Jade Maiden Peak and Qingyan Peak. When he saw that Xiaochen looked unfamiliar and was not a core disciple of one of the 5 peaks, he felt suspicious. Xiaochen nodded and said, "Pass me the detailed list of advanced missions. Which peak's disciple are you from? Let me see your identity token." The person did not immediately agree to Xiaochen's request. Xiaochen was slightly stunned. He said, "I am a disciple of Qingyan Peak. My name is Yi Chen. This is the first time I am here to accept a sect mission. I have already given my identity token to the old man downstairs." Qingyan Peak? The person muttered, feeling it was strange. "Wait a moment, I will go and verify it first." Xiaochen felt slightly angry in his heart. He finally understood why Lu Ruyue was so desperate. It turned out that Qingyan Peak disciples were making things difficult for him no matter where they went. The person seemed to be discussing with the upper echelons. After a long time, he returned to the window and handed a list to Xiaochen. "These are the advanced missions that will be issued today. Take a look." Xiaochen frowned slightly. He received the list and looked at it carefully. There was a total of 10 missions on the list, and they were all rather difficult. Using the elimination method, Xiaochen first eliminated the missions that were clearly impossible to complete. For example, killing 10 rank 6 spirit beasts within a week. After eliminating them, there were only 5 missions left. Xiaochen continued using the elimination method. Those that required cooperation from others had to be eliminated as well. Like this, there were only 3 missions left. One was to guard the spirit vein for a month. After completing it, there would be 800 contribution points. The other was to kill 100 rank 5 spirit beasts. There was no time limit and no restrictions on the species of spirit beasts. After completing it, there would be 1000 contribution points. The last mission was to pick a rank 7 herb, Yellow Springs grass. There was no time limit. After completing it, there would be 2000 contribution points. It was no wonder that the sect's high-level missions would be privately divided up. The rewards were simply too tempting. Even the lowest reward was 800 merit points. Xiaochen thought about it carefully. In the end, he chose the mission to guard the spirit vein. He still used the elimination method. Although the mission to kill spirit beasts did not have a time limit, it was impossible to complete 100 rank 5 spirit beasts within a month. As for the mission to pick the Yellow Springs grass, Xiao Chen could only shake his head and smile bitterly. Although the rewards were frighteningly high, he did not even know where it was. How was he going to pick it? The mission to guard the spirit vein referred to guarding the spirit stone vein of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion for a month. There was no requirement, he only had to guard it for a month. The reward was not high, but it was more than enough for Xiao Chen to repay his debt. I choose to guard the spirit vein. This is my first time accepting a mission. What procedures do I need to go through? Guard the spirit vein? You just need to sign here and come back tomorrow morning. There is no limit to the number of people on this mission. When everyone is here, you can set off. As for the procedures, you just need to bring this wooden token down. That person took out a contract and got Xiao Chen to sign it. After that, he handed him a small and exquisite wooden token. Xiao Chen took it and looked at it. Aside from a string of numbers carved on it, there was nothing special about it. However, when he scanned it with his spiritual sense, Xiao Chen unexpectedly felt a strong aura. Wang! A strand of aura from beyond the heavens passed through the Hall of Contributions and pierced into Xiao Chen's mind. Don't act rashly. Xiao Chen was startled and quickly withdrew his spiritual sense. He looked around carefully and discovered that no one was paying attention to him. He quickly left the place. The owner of the strand of aura on the wooden token was very strong. He might have thought that Xiao Chen was trying to tamper with the aura on it, so he immediately gave him a warning. There were too many crouching tigers and hidden dragons in the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. Xiao Chen felt a sense of reverence in his heart. He no longer dared to release his spiritual sense. He opened the door he came from and was immediately sent downstairs. Shwa! A silver identity token flew toward Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen caught it and looked at it. It was his own identity token. That old man smiled faintly at Xiao Chen. Young man, you can leave now. Remember the aura on the identity token. Don't act rashly. Otherwise, there will be a great disaster. Xiao Chen's expression turned grave. So the aura on the wooden token was left behind by this old man. Xiao Chen nodded and prepared to leave the Hall of Contributions. After Xiao Chen appeared, a group of people immediately stood up from the wooden table and rushed towards Xiao Chen. Although these people were all wearing different clothes, there were 3 golden threads embroidered on their collars. This was the mark of a Heavenly Saber sect core disciple. These people were all peak martial grand masters, just a step away from becoming a martial saint. Xiao Chen's expression turned cold. He knew these people did not come with good intentions. However, he did not feel any fear in his heart as he rushed forward. With Xiao Chen's current cultivation realm, aside from martial saints, martial grand masters, aside from those with inherited martial spirits, there was basically no pressure on him. You are Yi Chen. One of the people wearing the uniform of Wanren Peak walked forward and said sternly to Xiao Chen. Killing chi spread out from his body as he stared at Xiao Chen with a sharp glint in his eyes. That's right. Remember my name, Yang Qi. You can go. Before Yang Qi finished speaking, Xiao Chen smiled faintly. The lunar shadow saber was quickly drawn with a huangdang sound. A cold light hacked at Yang Qi. Seeing that Xiao Chen actually dared to make the first move, the corner of Yang Qi's mouth curled up into a cold smile. 2 short sabers, each about half a meter long, appeared in his hands. He waved his right hand in the air and gently swung it, dodging the sharp light of the lunar shadow saber. The short saber in his left hand struck out at lightning speed, piercing toward Xiao Chen's chest. This was the first time Xiao Chen met an opponent who used dual sabers. He was not used to it. Xiao Chen could only dodge the sharp light and execute the blue dragon cloud soaring art. He pushed his feet off the ground and his body moved like a flood dragon. He moved in an arc and dodged Yang Qi's attack. Xiao Chen stabilized his footing and just executed the 3 flowing cloud images. Yang Qi had already arrived in front of him. The attacks of the dual sabers flowed like the moving clouds and flowing water. Although Xiao Chen could easily deal with every attack of his opponent with the help of the 3 flowing cloud images, the angle of his opponent's attacks was too crafty. Furthermore, his speed was extremely fast. Slowly, Xiao Chen was unable to keep up with his rhythm. It felt like he was tearing down the east wall to mend the west wall. It was extremely strenuous. Xiao Chen's body moved back continuously. He executed the 3 flowing cloud images to its limits, like a vast ocean, bitterly enduring. Hu Qi. Suddenly, Yang Qi stretched out his hand and threw out a short saber. The short saber spun continuously in the air, flying toward Xiao Chen's face. Its speed was extremely fast. The instant the short saber left Yang Qi's hand, another short saber appeared in Yang Qi's hand. When Xiao Chen dodged, this short saber flew out again. Immediately, 2 short sabers danced in the air. Yang Qi also held a short saber in each of his hands. When the short sabers spun in the air, they returned to Yang Qi. Yang Qi immediately threw out the short saber in his hand and caught the returning short saber. Just like that, the 4 short sabers spun around in the air. However, Yang Qi's attacks did not stop for even a moment. Xiao Chen, who had been caught off guard in the first place, immediately found himself at a disadvantage. The short sabers had already left several wounds on his arms and thighs. Xiao Chen quickly thought to himself. The 3 flowing cloud images could defend against some extremely powerful attacks. However, if the enemy's speed and angle of attack reached their limits, the weakness of the 3 flowing cloud images would become very obvious. I have to think of a solution quickly. Xiao Chen slowly felt that something was wrong. These 4 sabers were probably not his opponent's limit. Chapter 177. Moreover, he discovered that this martial skill was extremely special. The more short sabers that appeared, the more powerful they were. The more short sabers he used, the faster the speed of his attacks became. When he only had 2 sabers in his hands, his speed was more than twice as fast as now. This is Wanren Peak's secret technique, chaotic flow of sabers. It is said that when practiced to the highest realm, one can control 18 short sabers. Yang Qi can easily control 4 short sabers now. His status as a Wanren Peak core disciple is really impressive. He was originally a peak martial Grand Master. Furthermore, with the might of the secret technique, Yang Qi would be able to hold his own against an inferior grade martial saint. It should not be a problem for him to deal with an inferior grade martial Grand Master. The most important thing is that he allowed Yang Qi to make the first move. Given this, he basically has no chance. After executing the chaotic flow of sabers, his speed will only increase. Even if he has any martial techniques that can turn the situation around, he will not have a chance to execute them. This brat is very courageous. He dares to injure so many Wanren Peak disciples in the Hall of Contributions by himself. Yang Qi is not the only core disciple in Wanren Peak. Furthermore, there is still a true inheritor who has not appeared yet. He is too courageous. The battle became more and more intense. Xiao Chen's situation was worrying. The surrounding people all commented on him. In the end, he was just an inferior grade martial Grand Master. If he met the stronger Yang Qi, he would not stand a chance. Xiao Chen remained silent. The lunar shadow saber in his right hand rippled like water as he calmly blocked the short sabers in Yang Qi's hands. He held the scabbard in his left hand and moved it up and down, knocking away the short sabers circling in the air. Hu Qi. Yang Qi drew the 2 short sabers from his waist. In an instant, he controlled 6 short sabers. His speed became even faster, the saber lights were like flowing shadows as they spun around. When the weapons clashed, there was a continuous metallic sound. Xiao Chen's arm was slashed a few more times. Although Xiao Chen was at a disadvantage, his heart was as calm as still water, he did not panic at all. A fierce flame started to burn in his right eye, he was preparing to release it after storing up energy. It was not time yet. This was not his limit yet. Xiao Chen thought to himself. The biggest feature of the chaotic stream of daggers was its consistency. The more daggers he controlled, the more consistency he needed. The reason why the more sabers there were, the faster the speed was because they were forced to do so. If the speed slowed down, once the number of sabers increased, the continuity would immediately be broken. It was like a rotating chain. If it slowed down, the speed of the car would immediately drop, and there might even be a situation where it couldn't run anymore. If the chain broke, what would happen to the car? If the chain suddenly broke while driving at high speed, the car would immediately roll over and become a wreck. This was the opportunity that Xiao Chen was waiting for. He was waiting for his speed to reach its peak. Then, he would be able to defeat him with a single strike. Before that, as long as his vital parts were not hit, he would be able to endure it. Poochie! Another gash appeared on the right button. Blood immediately spurted out. Xiao Chen bit his lips. His gaze was resolute, he did not reveal any expression of pain. Sweat poured out of Yang Qi's forehead continuously, dripping to the ground. He felt anxious in his heart. This chaotic stream of daggers exhausted a lot of essence. However, he had already reached the point where he could control 6 sabers. However, he still could not force Xiao Chen to retreat. If this continued, before Xiao Chen could be defeated, Yang Qi would end up retreating due to the exhaustion of his essence. At that time, all his efforts would be for naught. Kill! Yang Qi's expression turned serious. He clenched his teeth and shouted. Suddenly, 2 short sabers shot out from his sleeves. The tips of the sabers spun continuously, tearing through the air as they flew toward Xiao Chen's chest. Xiao Chen, who was already prepared, immediately leaned back, and the 2 sabers flew past his face. Then, he kicked Yang Qi, who was about to charge forward, and forced him back. After he landed, he pushed off the ground again and appeared behind Yang Qi. When the blue dragon cloud soaring art erupted, Xiao Chen actually managed to shake off Yang Qi's airtight attacks. After Xiao Chen landed, he pushed off the ground again and appeared behind Yang Qi. When the blue dragon cloud soaring art erupted, Xiao Chen actually managed to shake off Yang Qi's airtight attacks. Yang Qi's speed was not slow either, his reaction was very fast. After Xiao Chen landed, he somersaulted and attacked Xiao Chen again. The 8 short sabers spun very quickly. At first glance, it looked like there were countless sabers spinning around. The sabers tore through the air, creating a strong air current. Small hurricanes formed. Right now, this should be your limit. Xiao Chen narrowed his eyes and swung the scabbard in his left hand. As a short saber flew at him, he sheathed it with a schwat sound. Xiao Chen revealed a faint smile as he dodged to the side, avoiding the vital parts. This allowed the short saber to stab into his left shoulder. Blood immediately flowed out and a pained expression appeared on Xiao Chen's face. However, Xiao Chen's hands did not stop moving. He quickly tossed aside the scabbard in his hand and grabbed a short saber flying at him, letting the blood flow. Yang Qi's continuous chaotic torrent of sabers was instantly disrupted. Only 3 short sabers remained in the air. Xiao Chen shouted, "Arc light chop!" A purple arc of light shot out from above. Electricity flickered on the arc of light. The electricity trembled and a ripple appeared in the air. The 3 short sabers were immediately knocked away. Chaotic torrent of sabers was actually broken like this. Cries of surprise came from the crowd. Xiao Chen actually used a method that was close to self-mutilation to break Yang Qi's peak chaotic torrent of sabers. The instant the chaotic torrent of sabers was broken, Yang Qi's smooth essence instantly turned chaotic. His aura became unstable and he quickly retreated. "You want to run? Can you?" Xiao Chen smiled coldly and shouted, "Purple thunder true fire, shoot!" The blazing flame in Xiao Chen's right eye instantly condensed into a purple beam of light and shot out. This was what Xiao Chen had comprehended from the ice line of the ice ape. Since cold qi could condense into a thin line, then the flame could condense into a light beam as well. The purple thunder true fire that Xiao Chen had been storing up power for a long time instantly pierced through Yang Qi's chest. A finger-sized wound appeared and blood flowed out continuously. Yang Qi staggered and fell to the ground. He pressed his hand against his chest, trying to stop the blood from flowing out. However, it was to no avail. it did not help at all. Xiao Qin ignored him and tossed aside the short saber in his left hand. Then, he pulled out the short saber from his right shoulder and picked up his own scabbard. Xiao Qin slowly walked towards the exit of the Hall of Contributions. The crowd automatically parted to form a path for him. Step by step, Xiao Qin arrived at the entrance of the Hall of Contributions. Stop right there. Finally, the other core disciples of Wanren Peak could not help but call out to Xiao Qin. 3 Wanren Peak core disciples walked towards Xiao Qin. In the earlier battle, because they cared about the face of the core disciples, the 3 of them did not surround and attack Xiao Qin. However, they saw that Xiao Qin had first defeated many ordinary disciples of Wanren Peak. Now, he had defeated the core disciple Yang Qi. If they just let him walk out of the Hall of Contributions like this, Wanren Peak would lose all their face. Xiao Qin smiled faintly. What advice do you have for me? You injured so many disciples of my Wanren Peak. Do you think you can just walk out like this? Xiao Qin found this funny. He said indifferently, if he did not attack first and then provoke me, would I have injured the disciples of your Wanren Peak? In that case, senior brother Yang Qi was only asking you a question. Why did you take the initiative to attack him? Xiao Qin's expression turned cold. He said coldly, stop talking endlessly. Your skills are inferior, yet you still have such a vile attitude. If you want to stop me, just say it clearly. Do you want to fight one-on-one or all at once? It's up to you. The 3 of them muttered to themselves. If they fought one-on-one, they were not confident of making Xiao Qin stay. However, if the 3 of them attacked together, they would not be able to lose face in public. They were in a dilemma, not knowing what to do. I am pressed for time. Forgive me for not being able to accompany you. If you want to find me, I will accompany you anytime. Xiao Qin could tell what the 3 of them were thinking with one glance. He could not be bothered with them. After he spoke, he walked out. Xiao Qin was indeed pressed for time. He did not have the time to waste here. His mission to guard the spirit vein would begin tomorrow. He only had one night to prepare. The mission to guard the spirit vein sounded very simple. However, it was a high-level mission for the sect. The reward was also very high. There would definitely be danger involved. After all, the person who set up the mission was not a fool. They would not give contribution points to you so easily. Xiao Qin decided to go to the Heaven Viewing Platforms market to take a look. He originally had more than 1,000 spirit stones on hand. Adding the ones he obtained from Shin Manjun, he had close to 2,000 inferior grade spirit stones. With so many spirit stones, it was sufficient for cultivation. It would be a waste to keep them on hand and not spend them. After consuming a blood replenishing pill and treating his injuries, Xiao Qin found out the location of the market and slowly made his way there. Aside from the deep wound on his right shoulder, the others were all superficial wounds. After the blood replenishing pill's medicinal energy spread out and he rested for a night, he should be fine. After wandering around for a long time, Xiao Qin finally found the entrance to the Heaven Viewing Platforms market. When he entered, he actually had to pay an entrance fee of 1 spirit stone. He could not help but feel that he was black-hearted. A regular inner disciple only had a monthly stipend of 15 spirit stones. If they did not have any other additional income and lost this spirit stone, they would feel a heartache. The market was very bustling. There were many Heavenly Saber Pavilion inner disciples here. They could sell or exchange goods here. There were also official shops that sold all sorts of items, martial techniques, spirit weapons, battle armors, cultivation techniques, and everything else. However, in this place, everything was priced with spirit stones. The money of the mundane world was not very useful here. However, there were special places where one could use silver taels to exchange for spirit stones. Back when Xiao Qin was in Whitewater City, he had swept away the Jiang clan's hundreds of years of savings. He had obtained a total of 30 million gold taels and spent another 20 million gold taels at the Flying Snow Manor. There were also 10 million gold taels worth of banknotes in his universe ring. After thinking for a while, Xiaochen decided to exchange them all for spirit stones. In the past, Jean Fatso had unintentionally revealed that the peak auctions in the continent all used spirit stones for transactions. Gold was not even worth mentioning there, it was completely useless. Rather than letting it rot in the universe ring, Xiaochen might as well use this opportunity to exchange for spirit stones. Chapter 178. In this market, the place where spirit stones and gold banknotes were exchanged was a shop set up by the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. There was a fixed processing fee. When Xiaochen arrived at the shop, there were still some people inside. They were all inner sect disciples preparing to go down the mountain. Most of them were here to exchange spirit stones for gold banknotes. The owner of the shop was an ordinary person who did not cultivate. He wore fine silk clothes and had a small mustache. A bright light flashed in his eyes, he had the look of a typical merchant. After everyone left, that person walked over to Xiaochen with a smile. "This little brother has waited for so long. Are you spending a lot of money?" "His eyes are pretty good," Xiaochen smiled faintly, "just call me Xiaochen. I have not asked for the owner's name yet." "Haha, I can't be called the owner. I am just helping out. If you do not mind, you can just call me Old Hu," the owner revealed a smile and said unhurriedly. Xiaochen did not say anything and took out stacks of gold banknotes from his universe ring. He placed them neatly on the table and slowly covered the entire exquisite wooden table. A look of astonishment flashed on Old Hu's face. His mustache curled up as he slowly walked to the door of the shop. He cautiously closed the door and hung up a closed sign. After that, he turned around and faced Xiaochen. "You really cannot judge a book by its cover. Little brother Yi is indeed spending a lot. I estimate that there are at least 10 million gold taels worth of gold banknotes. Are you going to exchange them all for spirit stones?" Xiaochen nodded. Old Hu smiled. "This must be your first time exchanging here. Exchanging on such a large scale would be very disadvantageous for you. Could it be that the exchange rate would change based on the amount of gold banknotes?" Xiaochen felt suspicious as he asked, "What do you mean?" "Look over there." Old Hu turned around and pointed to a wooden board on the wall in the middle of the shop. Xiaochen looked in the direction he pointed. The wooden board clearly stated the exchange rate of gold banknotes for spirit stones. 3,000 gold taels could be exchanged for one inferior grade spirit stone. However, at 100,000 gold taels, it became 5,000 gold taels for one inferior grade spirit stone. The larger the value of the transaction, the lower the exchange rate. Xiaochen looked down and saw that it had reached 10 million gold taels. The exchange rate had reached 10,000 gold taels. 10,000 gold taels could only be exchanged for one inferior grade spirit stone. Xiaochen was speechless. 10,000 gold taels for one inferior grade spirit stone. That was to say, the 10 million gold taels he had could only be exchanged for 1,000 inferior grade spirit stones. What's going on? Exchanging for one at a time only requires 3,000 gold taels. Why is it that as the amount increases, the exchange rate decreases instead of increasing? Xiaochen asked in confusion. If he exchanged once a day, he would be able to exchange for close to 4,000 inferior grade spirit stones. However, he could only exchange for 1,000 at a time. That was 4 times less. No one would be able to accept this. Old Hu smiled faintly. In the past, there were people who used large sums of money to exchange for spirit stones. They were all rich clans who had no way of obtaining spirit stones and came here to take advantage of the situation. Think about it, which is more valuable, spirit stones or gold? Spirit stones are gone after they are used, they are expendable. However, gold is liquid and will never disappear. Furthermore, the Heavenly Saber Pavilion does not have that many spirit stones for people to exchange for. Hence, they set up this rule. However, if you want to exchange spirit stones for gold, the greater the exchange rate, the higher the exchange rate. This is the reason why gold has a price but spirit stones are priceless. Xiaochen thought about it and agreed. For cultivators, it was much easier to obtain gold than spirit stones. If the exchange rate was too high, they would be at a disadvantage. After all, this money belonged to someone else. Xiao Chen felt the heartache for a while. In the end, he still chose to exchange for spirit stones. Old Hu immediately counted the spirit stones with a smile on his face. After he finished counting, he immediately gave Xiao Chen 1,000 spirit stones. After Xiao Chen took the spirit stones and walked far away, Old Hu revealed an expression of wild joy. He thought to himself, if there are a few more fools like this, I will probably be promoted soon. Actually, Xiao Chen also felt that he was at a disadvantage. Old Hu's final smile clearly showed that he was impatient. However, this was, after all, something that he snatched. It was fine as long as he could exchange it for spirit stones. When Xiao Chen arrived at the area where he could freely set up stalls, he started to wander around. There were so many things that it was dazzling. Xiao Chen took a quick look and discovered many rare treasures. The horn of a rank 5 spirit beast, silver horn tiger. 20 spirit stones or a rank 4 or higher medicinal pill for treating injuries. Xiao Chen's gaze stopped at a stall. The stall owner was a middle-aged man. He was an inferior grade martial saint. After reaching a certain age in the Heavenly Saber Pavilion, if one had not reached the corresponding cultivation realm, they would not receive any benefits. They could choose to leave the mountain or stay in the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. However, they had to do everything themselves. Furthermore, they had to pay a certain amount of spirit stones every month. The middle-aged man in front of Xiao Chen should belong to the latter category. Due to the dense spiritual energy in the Lingyun mountain range, he could not bear to leave. Hence, he chose to stay. I want this beast horn. However, can it be cheaper? How about 10 spirit stones? A youth stood in front of the stall and bargained. The middle-aged man shook his head, no way, this is already the lowest price I can offer. I cannot go any lower. 15 spirit stones, this is the highest price I can offer. What do you think? If you want to sell it, be more straightforward. Consider yourself lucky, I need this beast horn to refine a medicinal pill. Otherwise, no one would buy it. That person was clearly dissatisfied as he continued to bargain. The middle-aged man still shook his head, I will not sell it for less than 20 inferior grade spirit stones. The horn of this silver horned tiger grows by 1 centimeter every 10 years. For it to grow to this length, it would take at least 150 years. The spiritual energy contained in such a beast horn is very dense. Be it made into a strong bone weapon or ground into powder to refine into a medicinal pill, its value would be very high. 20 spirit stones is already the lowest price. Bang! That person tossed the beast horn he was fiddling with onto the stall. He said in disdain, trash, shamelessly staying on the mountain. I'm buying your things because I think highly of you. Let's see who will buy this beast horn from you. When the time comes, let's see how you hand over the spirit stones to the main hall. Just wait to be kicked off the mountain. I gave you face, but you do not want it. You are simply looking for trouble. The youth was only a medial grade martial grandmaster. When the middle-aged man was mocked in front of him, his expression did not change, he was extremely calm. At the very least, I have to be worthy of my investment. Selling this item at a low price is selling myself at a low price. If I am chased off the mountain, I am willing to do so. After the youth mocked the middle-aged man a few more times, he left while cursing. Before he left, he occasionally turned his head back and stared at the silver-horned tiger's beast horn. He was clearly dissatisfied. Xiao Chen walked over and carefully inspected the beast horn. He extended his spiritual sense into it. It was as the middle-aged man had said, it was indeed a 100-year-old beast horn. The spiritual energy was extremely dense. It was the best material for the life bestowal spell. Although with Xiao Chen's current cultivation realm, he could use ordinary materials for the life bestowal spell. However, the effects would not be as strong as using good materials. Friend, you are also here to buy this beast horn. If you want to bargain, then there is no need to buy it. I will not lower the price. Xiao Chen smiled faintly. I do indeed want to bargain. There is something wrong with this price. The middle-aged man's expression changed. Just as he was about to speak, Xiao Chen continued, the price is on the low side. 20 spirit stones is already a bargain. I will offer 50 spirit stones. That would be worthy of your investment. After Xiao Chen spoke, he took out 50 spirit stones and handed it to that person. Then, he picked up the beast horn and placed it in his universe ring. Then, he turned around and left. The middle-aged man's words had moved Xiao Chen. He was alone in the heavenly saber pavilion. The amount of disdain and indifference he received was definitely more than what he received in the past. Yet, he was still able to maintain such a state of mind under such circumstances. This caused Xiao Chen to feel compassion for him. So, he decided to help him out. After all, 50 spirit stones was just a small sum to him. Who knows, it might be able to help others. Little brother, why are you helping me? The middle-aged man quickly caught up to Xiao Chen and asked. Xiao Chen turned around and smiled gently. The river flows east for 30 years, and then west for 30 years. Who knows what the future will be like? Who knows, if I help you today, you might be able to make a name for yourself in the future. I might even be able to gain a favor for free. The river flows east for 30 years, and then west for 30 years. Who knows what the future will be like? The middle-aged man muttered to himself, however, will I, Lan Chou, have such a day? Taking advantage of the moment when the middle-aged man was distracted, Xiao Chen turned around and used his movement technique to quickly leave this place. It was just a small matter, there was no need to pay too much attention to it. It was still early, so Xiao Chen continued to stroll around. He saw a few more things. There was the blood of a high-ranked spirit beast, as well as some rare ores and herbs. Another 100 spirit stones were gone in an instant. A stall with many people gathered in front appeared in Xiao Chen's vision. Feeling curious, Xiao Chen pushed through the crowd and squeezed his way in. The stall owner was a youth about 20 years old. His cultivation had already reached peak martial grandmaster. He wore the uniform of Baichen Peak, and there were 3 golden threads embroidered on his collar. This was a core disciple of Baichen Peak. There was only one thing displayed on his stall. It was a piece of wood that was half a meter long and as thick as a finger. The piece of wood was placed calmly on the stall, but there was a faint cyan spirit chi that was visible to the naked eye rising up like smoke. Fusang's spiritual tree. Xiao Chen exclaimed in his heart. The spiritual energy was inexhaustible. There was an immortal flower on the tree that bloomed once every 1,000 years. The flower took 10,000 years to bear fruit. It was the immortal divine fruit. After consuming it, one could live as long as the heavens and earth, never dying or aging. When the branch was broken, there would be azure smoke coming out. The piece of wood displayed in the stall was exactly the same as the description of the Fusang tree in the legends. No, that's not right, this is not the real Fusang spiritual tree. Xiao Chen extended his spiritual sense and discovered the essence contained in the wood. Although the essence contained in it was extremely dense, it was currently slowly decreasing. Even after the Fusang spiritual tree's branches were broken, the essence contained in them was endless and showed no signs of decreasing. Chapter 179. This should be a broken branch from a subspecies of the Fusang tree. However, even so, it was still very valuable. This was because this type of tree was intelligent and knew how to cultivate. If it was an older spirit tree, it would be even stronger than a regular cultivator. According to legend, the Fusang tree was as strong as Emperor Wu. Why is no one buying such a good thing? Xiao Chen thought doubtfully, could it be that the price is too high? This is a broken branch from a 1,000-year-old Wudong tree. I need a red nascent fruit. I will only exchange it, not sell it. If there is none, I will use it myself. The bark of the Wudong tree was green like jade, and its leaves were like flowers. It was beautiful and elegant, and had natural spiritual energy. According to legend, when the leaves fell to the ground, they would turn into golden leaves. Even the divine phoenix of the ancient era did not perch on this tree. Although it could not compare to the Fusang tree, it was still a famous spirit tree. If it really existed for 1,000 years, then just one of its branches would be worth a lot. Not only could it be used to refine medicine, but it could also be used to directly absorb the spiritual energy from it. It could even be used to raise a cultivator's cultivation. Or it could be made into an accessory and worn on the body. It could also calm the mind, allowing one to achieve twice the results with half the effort when cultivating. When Xiao Chen heard that this person wanted to exchange for the red nascent fruit, he was excited. His expression did not change as he searched the universe ring with his spiritual sense. Soon, he found the item in a corner. He could not help but rejoice. Since he obtained this item in the periphery of Seven Horn Mountain, he had not used it. He had nearly forgotten about it. He did not expect it to be so useful here. I'll pay 80 spirit stones for this item. Is that possible? Someone asked eagerly. 80 spirit stones was already a very high price to buy this incomplete Wutong spiritual wood. However, that Beichen Peak disciple shook his head and said, "No, I urgently need the red nascent fruit to cultivate. The red nascent fruits on Jade Maiden Peak are not ripe yet. I can only try my luck here. If there are none, then I will use this Wutong tree for myself." Thinking about it, he was a core disciple of Beichen Peak and should not lack spirit stones. Just the stipend of a core disciple was much higher than that of an ordinary disciple. In addition to the missions he completed, he should have enough spirit stones. The man was unwilling, but he still shook his head and left. The onlookers also slowly dispersed. Although a spirit herb like the red nascent fruit was not rare, it took several decades for it to ripen. Obtaining it required luck. Seeing the crowd slowly disperse, the Beichen Peak core disciple revealed a disappointed expression. He got up and prepared to pack up and leave. Xiao Chen quickly went over and said, "Wait a moment, I have a red nascent fruit. I wonder if I can exchange it with you." When the Beichen Peak disciple heard this, he rejoiced and said, "If it is a ripe red nascent fruit, I am willing to exchange for it with more spirit stones. If it is not ripe, you will have to add some spirit stones." When Xiao Chen heard this, he took out the red nascent fruit from his universe ring and handed it over. The red fruit gave off a fragrance and a dense spiritual energy assaulted the nose. Its glass-like surface seemed to have a fiery glow. A matured red nascent fruit. It's really matured. That person had an excited expression on his face as he said, "My name is Fong Ning. Thank you for the red nascent fruit. I will give you another 10 inferior grade spirit stones." Fong Ning was incomparably happy in his heart. He had been stuck at Peak Martial Grand Master for a very long time. Because he cultivated a fire-attributed cultivation technique, he had been unable to break through. Now that he had the red nascent fruit, advancing to Martial Saint was just a matter of time. He did not expect to be able to obtain 10 inferior grade spirit stones. This was a pleasant surprise. Xiao Chen carefully put away the spirit stones and Wutong spiritual tree that Fong Ning handed over. His face also revealed a joyful expression. He had been searching for similar spiritual trees for a very long time. However, he always ended up with nothing. Reality proved that the life bestowal spell was most effective when using spiritual wood. Even the beast horn, which was filled with spiritual energy, could not compare to it. After obtaining the red nascent fruit, Fong Ning immediately packed up his stall and left. He could not wait to leave the market and prepare to enter closed-door cultivation. Xiao Chen stopped this person and said, "Brother Fong, can you tell me where you found this Wudong spiritual tree?" Fong Ning stopped and shook his head. He said sincerely, "Brother, it is best that you do not know. That place is extremely dangerous. I went there with my master. The tree has already turned into a spirit, it is not easy to deal with." After he spoke, he left without looking back. No matter how Xiao Chen called out to him, he did not stop. Xiao Chen was slightly disappointed. He looked at the sky and saw a large patch of burning clouds in the west. The sunset dyed the entire sky red. It was already dusk. As it was still early, Xiaochen decided to continue going to the official shops of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion to see if there were any good items. About 200 meters behind him, there was a sinister gaze staring at Xiaochen. This person was the person who wanted the saber-toothed tiger's beast horn. You caused me to be unable to complete my master's mission. I want to see who you are. How dare you snatch something that I am interested in? Feeling that gaze, Xiaochen extended out his spiritual sense. When he saw the appearance of this person, he smiled faintly and ignored him. He continued walking forward. There were very few people in the official shops. It was not as lively as the free market. Xiaochen took a quick look and was not interested in it. The items sold here were very expensive. They were all herbs, medicinal pills, martial techniques, cultivation techniques, and the like. They might be of interest to others, but to Xiaochen, they were of no interest. Xiaochen had the battle sage origins. He could imitate all the martial techniques in the world. If it was not an extremely rare martial technique, he would not be interested in it. As for medicinal pills and medicinal herbs, he needed to prepare them when he was cultivating. Now was not the time yet. Xiaochen only bought a few good quality antidotes for emergencies. After that, he did not buy anything else. He left the place in disappointment. Xiaochen was about to depart at dawn. He intended to find a desolate place and spend the night there. There was no need to care too much about one night. When Xiaochen was about to leave the market, a figure quickly charged at him, trying to stop him before he left the market. Xiaochen smiled faintly and locked onto the person behind him with his spiritual sense. A huge black hand appeared from nowhere. Xiaochen clenched his fist and grabbed that person. Xiaochen casually waved his hand and tossed that person high into the air. Then, he landed on the ground with a loud bang. The huge black hand descended from the sky again. It clenched its fingers into a fist and punched continuously. It only stopped after that person vomited blood and fainted. From start to finish, Xiaochen did not turn around. He withdrew his hand and quickly left this place. This person was just a wretched tramp, yet he dared to stop him. He was simply reckless. Under a towering tree on the heaven viewing platform, Xiaochen looked up at the lush tree and revealed a satisfied expression. I'll spend the night here. He pushed off the ground and leaped onto a branch of the tree. Then, he changed into a comfortable position and lay down. Xiaochen took out a carving knife and the saber-toothed tiger's horn and prepared to start carving. Xiaochen had never seen the saber-toothed tiger before. Hence, he could not use the life bestowal spell. The materials to carve the Golden Lion King were not right. Furthermore, the Golden Lion King was too big. If he used it to carve, he would only be able to carve a flawed Golden Lion King. It was not worth it. After thinking for a while, Xiaochen measured the size of the beast horns. In the end, he decided to carve 5 rank 5 ice apes. The rank of the ice apes was not too high. It was easier to control them, and it would exhaust less essence. The ice apes were only martial saints. However, when there were more of them, their combat prowess could not be underestimated. After Xiaochen made up his mind, he no longer hesitated. He leaned against the tree and started to carve seriously. Shwa! Shwa! Xiaochen infused his essence into the carving knife. Bone shards fell off the white horns continuously. He recalled the appearance of the ice apes in his mind. His hands moved like flowing water as he carved. Xiaochen's carving skills had already reached the acme of perfection. Not long after, an exquisite sculpture of an ice ape appeared in his hands. Xiaochen smiled faintly and placed it in the universe ring. Then, he continued to carve. When he finished carving the 5 sculptures, the sky had already turned dark, night had already fallen. Xiaochen took out the Wudong spiritual wood and observed it carefully. Then, he carefully placed it in the universe ring. This item could only be found and not sought. Xiaochen did not want to waste it, it would be useful in the future. Xiao Chen sat down cross-legged and entered a state of cultivation. The purple thunder divine incantation slowly circulated and the dense spiritual energy in the surroundings immediately poured into his body. The density of the Lingyun mountain range's spiritual energy was truly tempting. Xiao Chen sighed in his heart again. No wonder it made people yearn for it. Cultivating here for a year was equivalent to cultivating outside for 3 years. The spiritual energy circulated in his body for a great cycle. Finally, it gathered in the dantian where his martial spirit was. Within that strange space, it fell like rain, pouring into the surging river. When he was a martial disciple, the source of his essence was a few white clouds. When he was a martial master, it was a clear pond. Now that he was a martial grand master, it had turned into a gushing river. Every time he advanced a realm, the density of the spiritual energy in his body would increase exponentially. It was extremely horrifying, causing Xiao Chen to feel both shocked and happy. The amount of essence that Xiao Chen could use now was something that no one within the martial grand master realm could compare to. Furthermore, the purity of his essence was also much higher than that of regular cultivators. Such a good thing was indeed a pleasant surprise. However, if one were to ask about it, they would not know the reason for it. The only thing Xiao Chen could be sure of was that it was not because he cultivated the Purple Thunder Divine Incantation. The Purple Thunder Divine Incantation was only a cultivation technique. According to the records in the Compendium of Cultivation, such a phenomenon would not occur. If he really wanted to find the reason, he could only look for it from the blue dragon in the river. However, the Shao clan's inheritance was broken long ago. There was no way to find out about this. Perhaps Feng Feishue, who was in the imperial capital, would have some understanding. However, she was temporarily unable to go there. Since he could not figure it out, he could not be bothered to think about it. Xiao Chen collected his thoughts and entered a state of cultivation. Early in the morning, when the first ray of sunlight penetrated through the leaves and shone on Xiao Chen's face, Xiao Chen opened his eyes and took a deep breath. After a night of cultivation, his mental state had returned to its peak. The medicinal energy of the blood-replenishing pill had already completely permeated into his body. The injuries from yesterday had completely healed. His mental state had returned to its peak. Hu Qi. Suddenly, the wooden token at his waist started to shake non-stop. With a "wang" sound, it flew out. Xiao Chen understood in his heart. The people from the Hall of Contributions were urging him to depart. Bang! Just as Xiao Chen was about to land on the ground, a petite figure beat him to it and jumped down from the top of the tree. She stretched lazily on the ground and turned her head to smile at Xiao Chen. Then, she quickly left in a flash. Xiao Chen did not expect that he would meet someone with the same intentions as him in a random tree. He cursed himself for being careless in his heart. Before he came, he should have used his spiritual sense to scan the area. If this person had bad intentions, he might have been in danger last night. Chapter 180. At this moment, Xiao Chen did not have much time to think. The wooden token had already flown far away. If he did not catch up, he would be late. He leaped into the air like a flood dragon soaring into the sky. The wooden token flew very steadily, but it was very fast. Xiao Chen chased after it and was surprised to discover that the wooden token did not lead to the Hall of Contributions. Finally, it stopped in an unknown courtyard. Xiao Chen walked in with some suspicions. He discovered that there were already at least 10 people in the courtyard. The girl he saw on the towering tree was here as well. When she saw that Xiao Chen was here as well, she revealed an astonished expression. Xiao Chen counted the number of people, including him. There was a total of 10 people. Every one of them was at least a medial grade martial grand master. That girl's cultivation was the highest, she was a peak superior grade martial grand master. Advancing from martial grand master to martial saint was a hurdle. The earlier one entered the martial saint realm, the higher their future accomplishments would be. Because of this, the Heavenly Saber Pavilion had a rule that if one was not able to reach the martial saint realm before the age of 25, they would lose their qualifications to become an inner disciple. Aside from Xiao Chen, the rest of them knew each other. They were gathered together and chatting in soft voices. I wonder if I will be able to return alive after going there. I nearly died there the last time. Indeed, if I were not in urgent need of contribution points, I would not have risked my life. Recently, I feel that my cultivation has reached a bottleneck. I have to buy some medicinal pills to aid my cultivation. When Xiao Chen heard this, his expression changed slightly. He looked at the collars of these people and discovered that there were only 2 golden lines embroidered on them. This was the mark of an ordinary disciple. These people were not inner or core disciples. However, how did they receive a high-level mission from the sect? Could I have been cheated? Xiao Chen thought back to his encounter on the 2nd floor. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that something was wrong. In reality, he had indeed been cheated. On the 2nd floor of the Hall of Contributions, that person had given him a list of high-level missions. All of them were extremely dangerous and there were very few people who would accept them. Everyone could accept the normal high-level missions. That person did not show him any of them. He did not know what was going on. Hey! Which peak are you from? What's your name? You look unfamiliar. I am Mu Xinya from Gangyu Peak. We just met. Just as Xiao Chen was deep in thought, the girl took the initiative to greet Xiao Chen. For some reason, Lu Riyue and Lu Suifeng did not wear Qingyun Peak's signature clothing. Even Xiao Chen did not wear it. He was still wearing the clothes he had brought, so outsiders couldn't tell which peak Xiao Chen was from at a glance. Xiao Chen collected his thoughts and carefully sized up the girl in front of him. This girl was only 16 or 17 years old, and her appearance was top-notch. She always had a smile on her face, and there were 2 mandarin duck knives at her waist. She gave off the vibe of a little girl next door, appearing extremely lively. Xiao Chen said with a faint smile, "Yi Chen of Qingyun Peak." Mu Xinya and the other 8 men looked at Xiao Chen in astonishment, sizing him up carefully. After a while, Mu Xinya said, "Didn't you go to the 2nd floor first yesterday? Why did you take on this mission? Didn't they show you the other high-level missions?" Seeing that Xiao Chen did not understand, Mu Xinya explained the reason in detail. After Xiao Chen heard it, he suddenly understood. No wonder that person only took out the mission list after he left for a long time. Furthermore, the danger of the mission was very high. There were very few options to choose from. With all these factors combined with Mu Xinya's explanation, it could only mean that this group of people had fooled him. Seeing that Xiao Chen's expression was not right, Mu Xinya advised him, "Don't think too much. Since you have already accepted the mission, just do your best to complete it. The punishment for failing the mission is very severe." The others were not core disciples, so they could understand Xiao Chen's feelings. They all advised him. After a while, Xiao Chen became familiar with these people. Among these people, there was a Beichen Peak disciple called Ma Chen. He had the most experience with this mission. He had been there twice before. He did not hide anything and told everyone what he knew. The location of the mission is a few hundred meters underground. Our main mission is to protect the ordinary people mining. We will often meet with strange things underground. We must not be careless. If there is something we cannot deal with, immediately retreat and call the elders over. Our lives are more important. Pooh! 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 As Ma Chen spoke, footsteps came from outside. 3 old men dressed in black appeared in front of everyone. The collars of the 3 old men all had 2 crossed golden sabers embroidered on them. This was the symbol of the Heavenly Saber Supreme Elder. The Supreme Elder had a venerated position in the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. They had the authority to issue missions directly. The auras of the 3 of them were unfathomable. Their auras were as vast and boundless as the sea. Xiao Chen made a conservative estimate that the 3 of them were at least martial kings. This was especially so for the old man in the middle. He gave off an incomparably deep impression. His old face was filled with wrinkles, and his eyes occasionally flickered with a cold light. It was a very frightening sight. The old man looked at the crowd and frowned slightly. He said unhappily, the number of people is getting lesser and lesser. Unexpectedly, there is still an inferior grade Marshal Grand Master. The Hall of Contributions is suppressing our missions too much. The inferior grade Marshal Grand Master was referring to Xiao Chen. Even if Xiao Chen was dissatisfied, he did not dare to throw a tantrum. He kept his mouth shut and remained silent. Never mind, just make do with it. There has not been anything big recently, it has been rather peaceful. 10 people is enough, someone at the side said. The old man in the middle nodded. I will explain the mission to you in detail now. I will make it short and not be long-winded. The mission is very simple. It is to patrol the underground. It is to protect and monitor the ordinary people mining spirit stone. After sitting there for a month, the mission will be completed. That is really simple. It is as good as not saying anything, Xiao Chen cursed in his heart. After the old man spoke, he took out a jade bottle and pointed it at the crowd. Relax, do not circulate your essence to resist. So, a huge suction force came from the jade bottle. When Xiao Chen heard the old man's words, he did not circulate his essence to resist. He was sucked into the jade bottle in an instant. This jade bottle was actually a secret treasure. The bottle formed a small world within it. It was pitch black, one would not be able to see their fingers if they stretched out their hands. The other 9 people were nowhere to be seen, they did not know where they went. In this pitch-black space, time seemed to stop. Xiao Chen knew that this space was similar to the space in his universe ring. He did not panic. He sat down cross-legged and entered a state of cultivation. He slowly circulated the purple thunder divine incantation to pass this boring time. Bang! After an unknown amount of time, Xiao Chen felt something solid under his feet. He was already outside. When he opened his eyes, he discovered that he was in a damp stone room. When Xiao Chen stood up, he immediately felt the surrounding spiritual energy was shockingly dense. It was unbelievable, it was as though he could touch the ethereal spiritual energy just by stretching out his hand. Is this the spirit stone? Mu Xinya, who was at the side, looked around curiously with her eyes wide open. The remaining 8 people and the old man who brought them were not here. Only the 2 of them were here. There was a stone table and 2 simple stone beds in the stone room. All sorts of daily necessities were present. Could it be that the 2 of us have to stay in this place for the next month? Xiao Chen felt a headache just thinking about it. On the other hand, Mu Xinya still had a smile on her face. She looked around her surroundings and occasionally flipped through the tools in the stone room. Shwa! A stone door in the middle of the stone room opened. A middle-aged man dressed in black walked in and said, "The 2 of you have been placed in the same group. You will be staying here for this month. In the future, if you have any problems, you can look for me. Let's go, I will bring you around to familiarize yourself with the environment." They really have to stay together. Xiao Chen felt awkward just thinking about it. He said to that person, "Senior, is there really no problem?" That middle-aged man felt it was strange. What's the problem? Why are you still trying to act innocent after getting such a good deal? This place is split into pairs. If you want to change, I can change for you immediately. There's no need, there's no need. Xiao Chen quickly waved his hand. If he were to stay with a man, it would be even more unbearable. The middle-aged man nodded. There's no need to call me senior, I am not that old. Just call me Marshal Uncle Yi or Yi Wen will do. Let's go quickly. That's right, wait a moment. I nearly forgot. Hold on to this first. The middle-aged man handed the 2 of them a map made of beast skin. Xiao Chen received it and took a look. He discovered that it was a map of tunnels that looked like a maze. The zigzagging lines were dazzling. The words 8th layer were written on the map. Xiao Chen found the scale of the map. Just the tunnels of this layer were several thousand square meters, it was very startling. Xiao Chen found his location on the map. He discovered that there was a glowing spot on the map. He did not know what it was. Yiwen explained, "This glowing spot is the identity token on your waists. As long as you do not lose your identity token, you do not have to worry about getting lost. Aside from when you are resting, if the identity token is not moved for a long time, it means that you are in danger. Someone will immediately reinforce you." This was probably meant to monitor them. With this map, their whereabouts would be completely grasped by others, Xiao Chen thought to himself. After that, Yiwen pointed out the location of the headquarters on this layer. Then, he told them that the black line was a dead end, they could not go there. After explaining for a long time, Xiao Chen and Yiwen had a rough understanding of this layer. They were no longer at a loss, not knowing anything. After Yiwen told them about the mechanism of the stone door, he brought them out to familiarize themselves with the cave. Not long after they left the stone room, they saw a group of ordinary people with dark complexions. It was unknown how long they had not bathed for. On the wide passageway, these people were digging the ground with forks in their hands. Their expressions were numb and lifeless. The task of excavating spirit stones was arduous and huge. It was not realistic to use the Heavenly Saber Pavilion disciples to excavate. These people were sent here after they signed a life and death contract with the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. They were told of the hardships and dangers of this place. However, because of the high rewards, these people wanted to work here for 5 years and earn a fortune before leaving. Chapter 181. Riches came from danger. If they managed to return alive after working for 5 years, the rewards they would obtain would be enough for them to enjoy riches and glory for the rest of their lives. However, would they really be able to return alive? Hu Qi. Just as everyone was preparing to leave, a resplendent spiritual light suddenly appeared in the mine. In an instant, the spiritual energy in the entire mine became even more abundant. This is a medial-grade spirit stone raw ore. Run! The group of miners dug out the medial-grade spirit stone raw ore. However, their expressions were filled with horror. They threw away the tools in their hands and ran in the direction of Xiao Chen and the others. Ga! Ga! A miner's reaction was too slow and he was immediately grabbed by a skinny arm. With a casual rip, the miner was torn in half. That skinny arm then dug out the miner's bloody heart. After the crowd dispersed, Xiao Chen finally saw the owner of this strange hand. It was a rotten corpse that was emitting a black aura from head to toe. He placed the heart into his mouth and chewed it unceasingly while emitting a zzz sound. The group of miners hid behind Xiao Chen and the others. Although they had panicked expressions, they were already used to it. When they saw this rotten corpse, they did not find it too strange. Yiwen revealed a cautious expression. He stared at the raw ore that was giving off a spiritual light behind the corpse. "The two of you, just watch and don't make a move. In the future, if you meet a monster of this level, you just have to disperse the crowd." Who? The small saber in Yiwen's hand was drawn from its scabbard. It spun continuously in his right hand, creating a strong air current in the mine. The corpse felt a dangerous aura. It roared strangely and turned into a black phantom, pouncing at Yiwen. Its sharp fingers glowed with a cold light as they scratched Yiwen's face. Scram! Yiwen shouted loudly and the small saber in his right hand spun continuously. He quickly struck the corpse's body and a strong force immediately pushed the corpse far away. A black, rancid liquid flowed out of its body and splattered in the air. The corpse had already been dead for an unknown number of years. It did not know pain and did not feel anything. After it was knocked back, it roared and a disgusting liquid flowed out of the corner of its mouth. It pounced at Yiwen again. Yiwen and the corpse fought and slowly retreated to the left, slowly shifting the battlefield. After a while, the group was already quite a distance away from the mummy. At this moment, Yiwen's aura exploded out. He released his strength without holding anything back. Strands of resplendent saber chi struck the corpse. Just as the black liquid was about to land on Yiwen's body, an essence barrier immediately popped up on his body, blocking it. Z! Z! The black liquid was actually corroding his essence. Yuan shouted and his essence trembled. The black liquid was immediately blasted away. Dang! One man and one corpse. The speed of the battle was getting faster and faster. Ordinary people could no longer see the two of them. They could only hear the constant clanging sounds in the air. A bright light flashed in Xiao Chen's eyes. He could barely see the situation in the arena. The claws of the corpse were actually as hard as profound iron, able to resist Yuan's saber light head-on. Who? A cool breeze blew and the small saber in Yuan's hand actually disappeared. Xiao Chen was startled. This was one of Qingyun Peak's secret techniques, clear wind chop. Shwa! When the small saber reappeared, one of the corpse's arms was chopped off. After losing an arm, the corpse's combat prowess immediately dropped. Just as Xiao Chen thought there was no more suspense, the corpse suddenly spat out a black pearl. Yuan's expression changed. It actually managed to cultivate a spirit core. Fortunately, I discovered it early. Otherwise, if it had developed intelligence, it would have been troublesome. Yuan retracted the small saber and brandished it in the air, creating 18 afterimages. In an instant, the entire mine was filled with Yuan's figure. When the 18 afterimages merged together, the resplendent light of the saber dimmed. It carried a huge force and with a shwa sound, it chopped the black pearl in half. Yuan's hands did not stop moving. The small saber spun intensely in the air, forming a strong hurricane. Go! The small saber left Yuan's hand and the hurricane instantly sucked the corpse in, spinning it forward. The saber flashed in the wind and a black liquid flowed out before it was scattered by the hurricane. Under Yuan's control, the hurricane moved very slowly. After a while, it stopped. With a huang-dang sound, the small saber stabbed into the ground. The corpse landed heavily on the ground with a bang and bounced a few times. There was not a single part of its body that was intact, it was only left with a skeleton. Who? Just as everyone thought that the matter was over and they heaved a sigh of relief, the corpse pushed off the ground and rushed at Mu Xinya, who was beside Xiao Chen, at lightning speed. The sudden turn of events caught Mu Xinya off guard. She could not react in time and her complexion changed greatly. Drawing the saber. In the time it took for a spark to fly, the lunar shadow saber gave off a huang-dang sound and created a saber wind. Its speed was at its peak, directly chopping the corpse in half. Yuan rushed over and shot out 2 streams of red flames from his hands, burning the corpse on the ground. After that, he turned around and picked up the medial-grade spirit stone raw ore. He revealed a faint smile on his face. Medial-grade spirit stone raw ore was already very rare. Normally, it would be difficult to find one even after a few months. To Yuan, it was already very worthwhile for him to obtain it by killing one person. Yuan waved his hand and smiled. Supervisorly, I will give you a lot of credit this time. Let me introduce you. These two are the new caretakers. If you have any problems, you can look for them. A tall and sturdy man walked over. This person was the supervisor of this group of miners. Yuan introduced them to Xiao Chen and Mu Xinya. He casually handed the medial-grade spirit stone raw ore to Supervisor Li before leading Xiao Chen and Mu Xinya away. As they walked, Yuan introduced them. If you run into a medial-grade spirit stone dry corpse, it is not something the two of you can deal with. Do not act rashly. Xiao Chen could not help but ask, where did these corpses come from? Why are they so horrifying? Yuan said indifferently, they crawled over by themselves. You are currently several thousand meters underground. This spirit mine has existed for tens of thousands of years. The corpses that once existed underground will slowly crawl over due to the attraction of spiritual energy. After a long time, they will turn into corpses. Basically, every medial-grade spirit stone raw ore will have such corpses. The 3 of them spoke as they walked. Along the way, they ran into a few other miners mining. However, they did not run into anything like a medial-grade spirit stone raw ore. The other corpses that they ran into did not have much combat prowess. Yuan simply chopped them in half with a saber light. Aside from the corpses, the three of them ran into an even more common monster. It was a type of spirit-swallowing worm that fed on spirit stone raw ore. Yuan dealt with a spirit-swallowing worm and said, "Actually, corpses are not a big problem. The greatest enemy in the spirit mine is actually this kind of spirit-swallowing worm. If you discover it, you must eliminate it quickly. If you let it burrow into the ground, it will be problematic. Every time you kill a spirit-swallowing worm, you will gain 5 contribution points." Xiao Chen grasped his lunar shadow saber and carefully examined the corpse of the spirit-swallowing worm. This was a spirit-swallowing worm that was about half a meter long and as thick as an adult's arm. It could spit out a kind of green venom to attack its enemies. Its reaction speed was also very fast. If it were not for Yuan's attack speed being too fast, it would have burrowed into the ground and escaped without a trace. As the three of them spoke, they arrived at an entrance that branched off. 3 paths appeared in front of them. Yuan pointed to the front and compared it to the map. There are no paths to place a miner's lamp in the mine. The map shows that it is black. Such a mine has already been dug out. You should not take this path. The two of them nodded their heads and Yuan continued to lead the two of them forward. After touring the entire mine once, he finally brought the two of them to the headquarters of this layer of the mine. Even though it was the headquarters, it was very simple and crude at this depth of 1,000 meters. It was a huge stone room. There were many spirit stone raw ores piled up according to the grade of the spirit stones. There were more than 10 superior grade martial saints guarding this place. When these people saw Yuan walk over, they quickly said respectfully, "Elder Yi, everything is normal. There are no problems." Yuan nodded and pointed to Xiao Chen and Xiao Chen, "These are the new guards that the higher-ups sent down. Check them and see if they have any spatial rings on them." One of the main reasons why a super-large sect could survive for tens of thousands of years was because they controlled a spirit mine. All the information about the spirit mine was the most important secret of the sect. After being here for so long, Xiao Chen did not even know where the spirit mine was. What made them even more speechless was that the two of them did not even know where the exit of the mine was. If something happened, the two of them might be trapped here until they died. Xiao Chen did not expect them to be so cautious and check if the two of them had any spatial rings. Immediately, a man and a woman walked over to the two of them and started to search them. Xiao Chen was slightly startled. The things in his universe ring were all very valuable. There were even many things that could not see the light of day. There were some spirit weapons, medicinal pills, and herbs from the Jiang clan that he had not dealt with yet. If they were in the hands of others, he would not be at ease. "Junior brother, take off the ring on your hand. Let me take a look." The person who searched Xiao Chen did not find anything else. Only the ring on his hand was suspicious. Xiao Chen smiled embarrassedly. At this point, if he had any reaction, it would make others even more suspicious. So, he took the initiative to take off the ring and hand it over to that person. The spatial rings of this world were made from a material called receiving stone. It was completely different from the material used in Xiao Chen's universe ring. That person looked for a long time but could not figure anything out. So, he could only hand the ring over to Xiao Chen. "Wait a moment, let me take a look at the ring first." Just as Xiao Chen was about to heave a sigh of relief, Yuan's gaze drifted over and he quickly spoke. In theory, it was impossible for an outsider to open the universe ring. However, there were no absolutes in this world. Xiao Chen could not be sure. He said, "Martial Uncle Yi, is there anything wrong with this ring?" Chapter 182. Yuan tossed the ring into the air and smiled faintly at Xiao Chen, "There is no problem. You just have to pay attention to it." "What do you mean I just have to pay attention to it?" Xiao Chen thought to himself. Yuan's gaze towards him was filled with a deep meaning. It was more like a warning than anything else. "Let's go. Go back and have a good sleep tonight. That's right, there is one more important thing I have not told you. Do not cultivate underground. If you are not careful, you might explode and die. There have been many precedents. I hope you will not mess around, Yuan warned the two of them. This way, I will not be able to cultivate for a month. Xiao Chen could not help but feel disappointed. When he first came down and saw the dense essence in the surroundings, he was filled with hope. The two of them spoke as they returned to the stone room. When Mu Xinya saw that Yi Wen was not around, she said, "Senior brother Yi, thank you for saving me earlier." Xiao Chen smiled faintly, "It's fine. We are just helping each other. Who knows when I might be saved by you." After they returned to the stone room, Xiao Chen let Mu Xinya choose a bed first. Then, he slowly laid down on the other stone bed. The stone room was rather spacious. It was not cramped for two people to stay in. There were night pearls embedded in the walls, making the room bright. Xiao Chen laid on the bed. He had not sorted out his thoughts. Leaving all his escape routes in the hands of others did not give him any sense of security. His spiritual sense was like a thin thread as it extended upwards. However, it was as Yuan said. This place was a few thousand meters underground. Xiao Chen's spiritual sense extended upwards for close to 2,000 meters. However, aside from seeing a few similar layers of ore, he did not know how far he was from the surface. Xiao Chen withdrew his spiritual sense and could not help but think, where is the exit? Xiao Chen did not give up. He scanned the entire ore layer with his spiritual sense. Finally, he found the headquarters of this layer. However, he was blocked by a formless barrier. He could not get past it. After trying a few times, Xiao Chen did not succeed. He could only give up helplessly. In the stone room, there was a simple hourglass that counted the time. According to Earth's time, it was around 7:00 at night. It was still early. Although he could not cultivate in this place, Xiao Chen did not have the habit of sleeping early. He took out the clear wind chop that Lu Yue gave him and looked at it carefully. The clear wind chop that Yuan used today was quite shocking. "Senior brother Yi, I'm done bathing. You can go take a bath." Pushing open another stone door in the stone room, there was a simple bathroom inside. There was a pool filled with underground water, so there was no need to worry about cleanliness here. After Mu Xinya came out, she immediately said this to Xiao Chen. The little girl's clothes were very neat and tidy. She did not reveal anything, so Xiao Chen did not feel awkward. Xiao Chen put down the book and nodded. He was not a clean freak. After he went in, he simply washed up, put on his clothes, and walked out quickly. Mu Xinya's character was rather lively. When Xiao Chen was reading, she kept asking him questions. The smile on her face never faded. She was very optimistic about this mission. "Senior brother Yi, why did you enter the Heavenly Saber Pavilion? Furthermore, you even entered the weakest Qingyun Peak." Mu Xinya's questions assaulted him once again. There was no end to them, causing Xiao Chen to be unable to concentrate. He smiled bitterly and helplessly put down the book. After thinking for a while, he replied, "In the beginning, it was to save a friend. After that, I discovered that I could raise my strength here, so I slowly stayed." Mu Xinya revealed a mischievous smile. "I guess that friend of yours must be a girl." "You can say that." Xiao Chen smiled and changed the topic. "What about you? Why did you enter the Heavenly Saber Pavilion?" Mu Xinya changed her position on the stone bed. She lay on the wall and said, "My parents called me in. I have only been here for a month. Actually, I did not want to come." Xiao Chen was secretly astonished. She was already a peak martial Grand Master even before she came up the mountain. It looks like Mu Xinya's family background is not simple. After answering this question, Mu Xinya's mood seemed to turn heavy. She was not as excited as she was earlier. After chatting for a while, she went to sleep. Xiao Chen could not sleep. He continued to look at the clear wind chop in his hand. The essence in his body followed the path described on it and slowly circulated. Instantly, he felt a surge of energy. Unfortunately, there was no suitable place to cultivate. Xiao Chen gave it a try before giving up. After midnight, his eyelids started to struggle and he fell asleep in a daze. Xiao Chen woke up on time the next morning. The sound of him getting up startled Mu Xinya awake. After the two of them washed up and ate their rations, they started to patrol according to the route Yuan gave them yesterday. Not long after, Xiao Chen saw the group of miners who dug out the medial-grade spirit stone raw ore yesterday. When the leader, Supervisor Li, saw the two of them arrive, he quickly put down what he was doing. He came over to greet them. "Greetings, sir and madam. Do you have any instructions?" Xiao Chen sized up this person carefully. He was close to 2 meters tall. Xiao Chen had to look up at him. However, what caught Xiao Chen's attention were his eyes. The eyes of the other miners were dim and had no focus. However, his eyes were still filled with color. There was not a hint of dispiritedness in them. If it were not for the fact that his clothes were too dirty, no one would think of him as a miner. "Nothing much, we are just here to patrol. If there is anything, immediately send out a signal." Xiao Chen nodded and left with Mu Xinya. Patrolling was an extremely dry task, especially when it was a few thousand meters underground. Xiao Chen finally understood why there were so few people on this mission. In such a hellish environment, if anyone came here once, they would not come a second time unless they were in urgent need of contribution points. The interior of the mine was not as peaceful as it looked on the surface. After yesterday's experience, Xiao Chen did not dare to be careless. He carefully followed the map as he walked in the mine. "Hu Chi!" The sharp sound of a bugle horn suddenly resounded in the mine. Xiao Chen and Mu Xinya looked at each other. There was a situation. They quickly rushed towards the source of the sound. The two of them were very fast. Not long after, they arrived at the source of the sound. They discovered a corpse slowly crawling out of the ground. The miners scattered. Xiao Chen said to Mu Xinya, "Gather these people together. Don't run around. It is just an ordinary corpse. I will go and deal with it first." Mu Xinya asked worriedly, "Can you do it?" "Even if I can't, I have to." After Xiao Chen spoke, he immediately rushed forward and started fighting with the corpse that just crawled out of the ground. This was the first time he faced such a disgusting monster. Xiao Chen did not dare to be careless. He carefully blocked the corpse's attacks. He slowly felt that this corpse's attacking methods were limited. It was purely relying on its speed and its sharp claws to attack. This should be the lowest grade corpse. Not long after, Xiao Chen completely grasped its attack patterns. He did not intend to drag the fight out. Xiao Chen executed the 3 flowing cloud images and his figure immediately became blurry. He was like a small river as he circled the corpse and sent out 3 saber strikes at lightning speed. Shwa! 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 The corpse's 2 arms and head were instantly separated from its body. A large amount of black liquid splashed out. Knowing how powerful this liquid was, Xiao Chen sent out a saber light to block it. The corpse that had lost its arms and head was not completely dead. It instinctively charged at Xiao Chen. However, it was no longer a threat. Xiao Chen executed drawing the saber and chopped it in half. This time, it could not be more dead. Sheathing his saber, Xiao Chen faced the miners that Mu Xinya had organized and asked, "Who is the supervisor?" A miner walked out with his back bent. He said to Xiao Chen, replying to "Little sir, I am the supervisor here." This person's complexion was dark and his eyes had no light in them. Xiao Chen sighed silently in his heart. He said, "Clean up the corpse. According to the rules, you can rest for 2 hours. I will not interfere." This was what Yuan had instructed. If a corpse appeared, the miners could rest for 2 hours before going back to work. There was no need to bother with it. The two of them stayed here for a while. When they saw that nothing happened, they left the area and continued patrolling. When they arrived at a fork in the road, 3 tunnels appeared in front of them. However, 2 of them did not have any lamps installed. It was completely dark. According to the rules, this was a dead tunnel and there was no need to patrol it. Just as they were about to leave, Xiao Chen suddenly saw a pair of green eyes flash in one of the tunnels. However, when he looked carefully, he did not discover anything. He extended out his spiritual sense and searched for a long time. However, he did not discover anything. "Senior brother Yi, what's wrong?" Mu Xinya asked suspiciously. Xiao Chen felt that something was wrong. He said, "Don't move. I'll go in and take a look. There seems to be something in there." Mu Xinya looked in the direction Xiao Chen was looking. "Isn't that a dead tunnel? I'll go with you." "There is no need. Maybe my eyes are playing tricks on me." After Xiao Chen spoke, his figure flashed and he entered. His eyes gave off a faint purple glow in the darkness. In the pitch-black tunnel, he could clearly see everything within 10 meters of him. Xiao Chen walked 200 meters in and did not discover anything. Just as he was about to leave, he heard footsteps behind him. It was Mu Xinya following him. "Let's go, there is no need to follow me. My eyes are playing tricks on me," Xiao Chen said to Mu Xinya behind him. However, the instant Xiao Chen turned around, he saw Mu Xinya's expression turn unsightly. She quickly drew the Yuanyang twin sabers at her waist. A cold light flashed in the tunnel. The Yuanyang twin sabers in her left hand gave off a melodious hum as it flew toward Xiao Chen's head at lightning speed. The Yuanyang twin sabers were mostly used by women. Because the sabers were rather short, most men would feel that it was not domineering enough when they used it. If one only looked at its outer appearance, it would fit the delicate nature of a girl. However, in reality, the might and aura of the Yuanyang twin sabers were not delicate at all. Xiao Chen watched as the Yuanyang twin sabers emitted a cold light in the dark night. Xiao Chen's thoughts paused for a moment. However, after a while, he immediately made a move. Due to his trust in Mu Xinya, he did not make a move to strike her down. He executed the blue dragon cloud soaring art. His figure moved quickly in the tunnel like a flood dragon. Soon, he arrived behind Mu Xinya. "You're tuning into the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.